the shots?
I just ran. He grabbed my hand. I was just getting dragged, basically. I was pretty in shock, and so we ran through the water of the fountain just trying to get out of there as fast as possible.
Tell me why you had come to his event and why you wanted to hear Charlie speak today.
I just see him on social media and stuff. I like what he has to say, and I was excited to see the debate and hear more of what he has to say.
Yeah. We hear about political violence, Chris, and I mean, you don't think of it happening here. You don't think of it happening where you are, but yet here we are. How have you been processing the aftermath of this news?
To be honest, it's crazy to me because I wasn't even like that shocked in the moment. I was kind of like, did this really just happen? You know what I mean? I wasn't like frantic or anything. I just got out of there safety quickly, but it was a crazy experience. I don't know why or how this happened, but it's Utah. I feel like this is a pretty nice local neighborhood state, you know what I mean? So I would think that would more happen in other states, a little bit more violent, but it's tragic that it happened here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's actually wild that this is...
From a distance, it appeared to be him, which I had some bad vibes about him when I was on the bus with him, and even text several people saying he was making me feel very uncomfortable.
You, sir, what did you see?
Okay, yeah, I was there and I watched the shooting. It looked like that he got hit. A direct shot right to the heart. As soon as he was hit, he fell backwards, went to the side. The audience went to their knees. I stayed up a little bit because I wanted to see if anyone saw the shooting, if they would jump all over the guy. I saw nothing like that. The crowd was pushing me so that I went backstage, and they were going around me, and I stayed a little bit backstage, and I turned and looked, and they were arresting a guy by the name of George Zim. Yeah, I know the guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharp shooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart, and we need to find out who did this. I think there should be a research completely done that took place hours, maybe a day before anything went on. Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Zim. He was poor, broke. He maybe was on medication, a little bit loony boon, maybe a perfect person to pick and say that did it, but I don't think he did it at all.
So at this point, but did you see him taken into custody? Did you see him with any kind of thing in his hand, any device in his hand or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw when they actually put the handcuffs behind his back. I followed him when they took him to the trooper car when he was kneeling down, and I was just thinking he was very calm, very, whatever they wanted to do, he just went right along with whatever they're doing.
But you didn't see anything in his hand or anything like that, did you?
No, I did not.
Gotcha. What was the crowd's reaction when this happened? Can you just describe what happened? You said you were just walking into the area and then this happened.
Well, when I knew it was a gunshot tucked behind the corner, and then I saw all the crowd running as fast as I could, and I was worried about people trampling each other. And I saw two college-age girls one was having a panic attack. So I grabbed both of them because she was collapsing and rushed her down underneath the tunnel and got her to calm down, then put her in my car and got her hold of her parents. So
I think it's very suspect that he was talking about guns right when he was shot. That just didn't add up. It's almost felt like that the person that was asking the questions about gun knew it was going to happen. And I hope they grab him too and question him.
Thank you both very much, and we'll send it back to you. Thank you both very much. Appreciate your time.
I'm from here, grew up a couple miles to the east, and have not seen anything like that here, certainly at UVU or in this area. But you heard those witnesses here. I have one more individual who wanted to share a little bit more about what they saw. Tell me your name.
I'm Wesley.
Wesley, tell me what you noticed. You were inside there for this.
Yeah, so where I was at the line, I guess this side to the right of him, and I was just there to ask a question. I was there with a lot of my friends, just having a good time. We saw one person question him, just seemed business as usual. And then when the second person came up, he asked an interesting question about whether transgenders are disproportionately represented as mass shooters. And then I heard the shot, I looked over, I saw what I thought was smoke, and then I got out of there. And yeah, I think it's really interesting that the person asking the question was asking about shootings right as the shooting happened.
A tense moment. What did you do in the aftermath? Because I know everybody started to run.
Yes.
Everybody.
Well, there was too much of a crowd, to sprint, because, it's a big crowd. So I just act calm. I walked out in that underpass at the pace I could, and then the police, like, first they said they wanted to interview me, and then as things took a while, they were just like, hey, just give me your number, and then sent me on my way. So
Pretty.
yeah, it was.
Well, Wesley, thank you very much. Get your thoughts there. So we've heard from a number now of witnesses that me and others that have interviewed of people that were inside there, or I should say outside because it is an outdoor venue, when the shots were fired, when Charlie Kirk was shot. That's what we've got here from the west side of UVU campus. We'll continue to be here, but we'll send it for now back to you, Brooke and Tamara, in the studio.
Daniel Woodruff reporting live from UVU campus, where earlier today Charlie Kirk was shot. And we are hearing from the AP, who has confirmed that Charlie Kirk is in critical condition at a hospital, again, after being shot at this event held at UVU.
And though we don't know any other medical details on that, I think that's an exhale for a lot of people right now to at least hear the initial report of critical condition. The shot was fired. He recoiled. Bystanders describe him recoiling and immediately falling to the ground. It was quite a visually traumatic scene. But that's the latest update we can give, is that he is in critical condition. Dan Rascone is live there on the campus of Utah Valley University. Dan, orient us as to where you are.
Yeah, pretty incredible scene out here as far as talking to students. But let me give you a little idea as to where we're at here. Many of you, of course, know where the UCC Youth Center is at. We're just north of it right here. You can see all the traffic here, people trying to get out of this location, traffic completely backed up, a lot of cops, a lot of officers from a variety of different agencies all out here trying to be able to kind of lock down the campus, of course. And we've been hearing from students all along here. Many of these students right here, all these students have their own story. Let's start at the end here and kind of get your reaction. It's Ike.
Yes,
Did you
sir.
say? Okay, Ike, tell me a little bit about where you were at, how close you were, and what you saw.
Yeah, so I was about 20 yards off the right-hand side of Charlie. Obviously, it's a traumatic thing. Nobody should have to see that in their lifetime. The taking of a life is hurtful and hard to see. But, you know, we were talking about, he was having a conversation with somebody about gun violence, actually. And he was hit in kind of the left upper neck area, kind of in the carotid artery area. And it was just a traumatic thing to see. I feel bad for all these wonderful students and alumni that were present and had to see that. It's a tough thing to see, but obviously it's a very serious thing that we need to all be able to work through and work through together as a community and come together and really rally around Charlie and his family. Nobody should have to worry about their father or husband going out and doing the things that he loves, and that's a tough thing to see.
How many shots did you hear, and what happened right after he was hit? What was the mood of the crowd?
Yeah, one shot rang out from what I heard. I don't know if anybody else heard different. One shot rang out and hit Charlie, struck Charlie, and I don't know if it's angels or good bystanders who jumped in and stopped more shots from coming, but I'm grateful that if somebody did, they deserve high praise. One shot hit Charlie, one shot rang out, lots of chaos, lots of panic. It's hard to stay cool, calm, and collected in those moments. And so, yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Stick around for just a minute, if you don't mind. Your name and just what you saw, where you were at, what you heard.
My name's Kaya Meek, and then we were just about 50 feet from the left of him. And then I just remember he was on his second conversation, and then that's when the shot came, and then we just saw his head jerk back and shoulder, and we immediately just turned and dropped to the ground, and then saw people start getting up and running, so we followed in with that, and were able to get to the apartment buildings and get in with a really kind girl that started driving us. And then
How scary was this? What was the mood there?
it was just really terrifying. I mean, I was kind of in shock, because I was like, no way that just happened, you know. But I'm definitely very grateful that there's only one shot and stuff, or else I think that a lot more people could have been injured.
Okay, thank you very much.
The people started getting up and moving, and the crowd started pushing me, and they pushed me so that I was basically backstage. And then when I was kind of backstage, I was kind of there, and I turned and looked, and they were arresting a guy by the name of George Zinn, who I know, I've met him before.
How do you know him?
I just know him through, I've seen him at different events. He was always a person that would go to Trump rallies and all kinds of political events. He was always there, and he would always make his way. He was always there for people that were running for different positions in government, whatever. So he's just kind of I think he's kind of popular. He was just kind of but he's not altogether. He was being arrested very calm. They arrested him. They took him.
And you're confident it was him?
No, I'm confident of who they arrested. They arrested a guy by the name of George M.
Well, I'm not saying he was the shooter. You're confident that's who they were arresting was this George?
Yeah, who they arrested was George M. Oh, yeah, because I know him. I saw him.
But you're not saying he's the shooter?
No, I'm not.
I want to make sure we're clear, so we don't want to falsely accuse someone of this.
Right.
So,
in my opinion, I don't think George M. was the shooter.
Okay.
This would have had to been a direct shot to the heart. It had to been by somebody who can withstand the pressures of a crowd, not be nervous, and just one shot right directly to the heart, and then get away with it. This guy's broke. He lives on Social Security, probably on some medication, too crazy. I don't know if he even knows how to use a gun or even get his hands on the gun.
Well,
now, why isn't that important to you?
Because I don't want us to falsely accuse him and get his name out there as he's possibly the shooter. If he's not, I don't want to. He could be a suspect.
Yeah, I'm saying he's not. I'm not giving you my opinion. You should want to know. If you're a journalist, an investigative journalist, you would say, yeah, that's very interesting.
It is.
Direct shot to the heart. They all fall down. They pick a guy that's kind of crazy. It has nothing like that. It has to be, when you're in a crowd, you got to be calm, cool, collective. And if it's a handgun, you're going to aim it right directly and get off that one shot. Then nobody's going to tramp around you. Where exactly was this shooter is what I'd like to know.
That's what we're trying to find out. We've got other crews around. It's not just me. We've got a bunch of other crews that's looking into that. Like I said, I just don't want to falsely accuse him. They arrest him because they think he's a suspect. Okay, sure, a person of interest. Let me put it that way. Okay. Going back to your experience, you said you got pushed almost backstage, correct?
Yeah, the crowd was going backstage, so I got up and went with the crowd.
You kind of went with the flow.
Backstage, and I just kind of hung around backstage as the crowd went ahead of me. And I was curious, what's going on? And then that's when I turned to look, and I saw George Zimmerman, and I actually saw them put the cuffs on him. Very calm, very collected, and they just scooted him down. And as he was scooting him down, I don't know what happened, but his pants fell down, so he's in his underwear.
Okay. Have you been to Charlie?
I almost wanted to say, George, did you do it? Did you do it? But I was that close I could have yelled at him, but I didn't.
Have you gone to events like this in the past?
No, I haven't.
What brought you out here today? Why did you want to hear him?
I'm kind of a fan of Charlie Kirk, and some friends invited me to come, and I thought, yeah, I'd come. I've watched some of his videos, and I like a lot of the things that he's talked about, the way he's been.
I'm guessing from the hat that you voted for the current president.
Yeah, and they were throwing out these hats, and I happened to be someone in the crowd that got one.
Were you hoping to get a question or talk to Charlie Kirk at all?
I just wanted to be there and observe and see what was happening.
How many people would you say were there at the event?
I don't know. I would say maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people that were around that ball, at least 1,000. But an interesting thing is he was shot right during a question about guns, and that was the second person asking a question on the subject of guns. Most importantly, was talking about these transvestites that have guns, and should they be allowed to have a gun? And then boom, he was shot in the heart. And that's just too suspect for me.
It's a big coincidence, for lack of a better term. Were you guys escorted out by police? Did they just tell you to disperse?
I think there weren't enough people there. There were so many people there weren't enough police presence to just tell you. Everyone was just kind of following the crowd as we followed the crowd. And then when I watched George Zinn get arrested and followed him to the car, I think all the police were busy there. There wasn't enough police presence to basically push anybody off.
So it was just, you got out on your own, eventually ended up here. You said you were kind of like in the crowd getting jostled. You okay? You heard it all?
Yeah.
You're fine?
It's just the crowd was moving and you go with the crowd. Everyone's saying, go, you got to go this way. So
sure.
You just follow
so
the crowd, that's what you do.
When you look back on this and think, at the beginning of the day, this is going to be a great Charlie Kirk rally.
It's very exciting to see Charlie Kirk there, and the crowd loved him. They were cheering for him. He came out really happy, throwing out these caps, into the audience. And like I said, I got one, and then he started just first question came up. And they went through that, and then the second question came up about guns, and boom, he was shot. And my first reaction was, is this staged? I thought it was like staged. I couldn't believe that it was really happening. as it was happening. I thought it was a mistake.
What do you think about it now? You look across this massive police presence, traffic's kind of a snarled.
Well,
What are your thoughts now about this?
In my opinion, I think it's just too much police presence. They blow up something. I think it doesn't take a lot to just figure out what's happening, to get in there and find out everybody that was there. They should put information to say, hey, does anybody have any information? Find out, anything that's going on. They should do that. And that's what they should be on that right now. They have a list of almost everybody that you had to get you could get online to get a ticket. So a lot of students like myself, I thought you had to have a ticket to get in.
Yeah, I heard you could just walk right in, right?
Yeah, you can just walk right in, but I thought you had to have a ticket.
Did you sign up anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a place to sign up for students can sign up for tickets to go right in.
Okay.
So I think they really need to put a lot of information on that. That should be all over that. They need to find out who was there 2 days, Tuesdays before, 3 days, and find out all the places you could be where that you could get a direct shot like that.
Okay. George, I appreciate your time. Glad you're okay.
My name is Darren.
Darren, I'm sorry. George is the other guy. You kept saying George, so that's the name that's popped into my head. Well, I appreciate your time.
Well, good luck. Huh?
Yeah, good luck to you guys too. Stay safe. Can I ask you a question or two as well? You okay with that?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Reach. I got to clip a microphone on you. I want you to hold on to that. You can stay right there. Take a small step to your left. There you go. You can look at me. Try to ignore this camera in your face. What's your name?
Angie Martin.
Spell your first name for me, Angie.
A-N-G-I-E.
Okay. And standard spelling on Martin, just to be safe?
M-A-R-T-I-N.
I'm guessing you were at the event as well?
Yes.
Where were you at in relation to the stage?
I was about ready to go in at the front doors when I heard the gunshot. So I tucked away under because I'm a retired police officer.
Okay.
So I was worried about the people being trampled, and then the students started rushing out. And that's when I grabbed two students. One was about ready to pass out. I took her. One of the guys carried him. We carried him and went through the tunnel. And then I recognized the guy that was arrested as George Zim. I went with Charlie Kirk's group on Turning Point USA last year. He rode in the front seat above, right ahead of me. So I recognized him as the one they arrested. I don't know if he's the shooter, but that is the one they arrested.
So you weren't actually in the event yet? You said you were at the doors or at the gate?
When I heard the gunshot, and then I tucked around the corner, and then that's when I saw the crowd racing out, and that's when I tried to rescue the two students that...
Could you tell where the gunshot came from?
Yeah, I just looked up. It sounded like it was above, but with gunshots, it could echo.
Sure.
So I just remember looking up and going, that sounds like a gunshot. That's a gunshot. And then I saw all the kids running out, and then that's when I took cover, and then I saw the two students.
You said you're a former police officer?
Yes.
Who were you with?
Unified Police.
For how long?
20 years.
Were you in the field? What was your role there?
Yeah, I was 4.5 years in the jail, 4.5 years in court, 10 years on the road.
Wow.
As a canine officer, a detective, and a school resource officer. I also taught active shooter.
So you've done quite a bit. That's what you're telling me. Any of that, I would imagine, would that kick in today for you?
Yeah, I took cover, and then my first response is to protect the kids, the students, because I was worried about them being trampled.
Sure.
And so when the one girl was almost about to pass out, and I thought she was going to get trampled, so I grabbed her, and then I grabbed the other one and put him into a place area underneath the tunnel over here to protect him from any more gunshots.
What's your thoughts on this?
I know George from several events I've been to. He always struck me as a little bit odd. I know he's been banned from church property and the Herberts and Governor Cox. But he's a different guy. I'm not saying he's a shooter, but I recognize him as being the guy that was arrested. So, yeah.
So besides George, though, if George is not the shooter, your thoughts on it just in general, if just you're coming to this event to hear and something like this happens?
Well, based on my experience with shooters, the way I was described where it hit his heart and then blasted out this way, it would seem that it would have been shot from below if it shot out this way. I didn't actually hold the shot. So it would be pretty hard to get a direct
shot to the heart, you have to be a pretty good marksman to do that from that distance. So I'm not sure if George was that qualified or not, but it just seems like that was a pretty well shot. So.
I've been listening to our station. We've been on air with this since it happened. They're saying he's at the hospital in critical condition right now. That's the last that I've heard from this. When you look across and you see this massive police presence from units from all over, so many SWAT units showing up, is this normal for something like this, especially on a college campus?
Yeah, they're going to tape it all off. It's a huge crime scene. That's why when I wanted to preserve evidence, and so I immediately called the police. I said I have 2 witnesses. I tucked them into my car that were actually on the 4th row back. I literally saw, because as soon as it hit him in the neck, the girl I interviewed said it was a direct hit to the heart, and she saw it. So I called the police, let them know, got their names, so that we have the witnesses, and kept them here until the police said we could go. And then right now, that crime scene, that's going to be a long, because you have so many people, 6,000 people here. So it's going to be a big crime scene.
Okay. Anything else? I appreciate your time.
No, I just want to say Charlie Kirk's a hero, and praying for his family. Hope he makes it through that.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a second. You said Charlie Kirk's a hero. There's a lot of people. There was a lot of petitions online to stop him from coming here. He's then was supposed to go up to Utah State at the end of the week, I think, or beginning of next. Today's political climate is extremely divided. There's just a lot of vitriol and flat-out hatred on both sides.
Yes.
So why is Charlie Kirk a hero, in your opinion?
I believe our school systems are being indoctrinated with globalist ideas, Marxism ideas, socialism. And I think Charlie Kirk was trying to make that apparent and teach our youth, so we'll still have a country in the future.
What can we do to stop this, but to try to get this country, it's a cliche at this point to say, to get this country to heal, to try to come back together, to be united again? What is it going to take?
We need to educate people. We're falling into socialism, and socialism goes to Marxism, and Marxism goes to communism. And if you go look at Karl Marx, he's the founder of communism, and that's where we're headed.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you for your time. It's okay if you don't want to. I totally understand. Can I grab that microphone back from you, though? Thank you. Let me grab this one. Excuse me, Reed.
So is the last that you heard you say?
Yeah, my friend and I got there pretty late, and so when we arrived, we were right in the building behind him, and we just heard a gunshot, and everyone just started screaming. It was really chaotic, and we just ended up turning and running. There was just crowds of people screaming, and then just like shooter, gun, and then we ended up getting outside, but it was chaotic for a really long time, really scary.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, what do you do when you hear that gun, shots?
Yeah,
you freak out. But
I was kind of like in disbelief for a second, and when everyone was running, and then I just started booking it. My friend threw her drink, and we just got out of there like as fast as we could. But
this is always something that happens somewhere else.
Yeah, no, it's odd to be a part of something like this. It's horrible, of course, and really sad for him and his family, but yeah, it was really scary. I'm glad everyone got out okay.
Okay, Taylor, give me a hug. I'm happy you're doing okay, and that we met up and that you're doing well.
Okay.
Thanks, Taylor. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're
Thanks,
good.
Taylor.
Thank you.
So that's, again, I know that my niece is a student here, so I heard that she was here and kind of like wasn't answering her phone at first, and hoping everything is okay, and I'm happy she's okay. But just one of the many people here that just came out just to hear a debate, to be a part of something like this. Charlie Kirk is a big personality. A lot of people like what he has to say. A lot of people don't like what he has to say. But either way, on a college campus, you think this is something where you would maybe hear something you don't believe in or something that you do believe in, and then something like this happens. So it is sad. A lot of people witnessed this. I heard one of the interviews I think my colleague Daniel Woodruff was doing where one witness said he saw the blood, and that's just, it's sad. You know, how do you how do you decompress from something like that? You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of students are doing right now, just decompressing from something they saw today. And it's just an unfortunate situation. But traffic moving along, people continue to get out of here, and we will chat with some more students about their thoughts on this whole thing as we continue our coverage here. Back to you.
Well, Alex, we appreciate that. You know, there are so many students on campus right now for that event. It's hard when this hits home and it becomes then one of your own family members who is there at the event, and you're worried for her safety, of course, and glad everything's okay. Thank you for that report.
And we are continuing to get new information about Charlie Kirk being shot. AP reporting that Charlie Kirk is in critical condition at a local hospital. And this is something that we are certainly going to continue covering. We do have several reporters out there on the UVU campus. We do want to go ahead and check in with Andrew Adams. Andrew, as we've been hearing from Alex and Daniel and Dan, there are folks still trickling in, although campus is closed right now, giving us their perspective of just how traumatic that experience was.
Well, an extremely traumatic experience for a lot of people, especially when there were deep feelings about Charlie Kirk. A lot of people love Charlie Kirk, and to see this happen in front of him was just unbelievable to them. Getting in and out of campus is pretty wild right now, with the campus essentially being evacuated after this and the school being closed for the rest of the day. You have a lot of traffic backup migrating out. These two students here decided to chat with us for a minute. They're just waiting out the wait, which is quite long, and I appreciate you being willing to talk with us. Austin Watson, Sierra Arbonne, you were there this afternoon. Just tell me how it went down from your eyes.
I mean, it was pretty chaotic with all the people. There was hundreds and hundreds of people in attendance that were just listening. I mean, he had a huge support here. Everyone was cheering for him. There was obviously some protesters too, and then it was honestly pretty hard to hear. So I guess what had happened was someone asked him a question about gun violence, and then we heard a shot, and for a second it was like it didn't even feel like it was like actually happening. It almost sounded like a firecracker. And then from where I was standing, I wasn't right up next to him, but I saw him double over, and then everybody like went down to the ground, and then after a few seconds it was just like a sea of people just trying to get out of there. And yeah, there's videos you can see online. There's just everyone's coming out full speed, and there's phones on the ground, AirPods, like everything. Everyone's just leaving all their stuff, and it was pretty chaotic. So it was crazy.
Sarah, you were watching that. What went through your mind as this was just happening?
A lot of things were going through my mind. I was thinking about how I wasn't supposed to be there today and how I was supposed to be at work, but then it got canceled. And I was scared. It was a scary situation, but kind of along the same lines as Austin. I thought at first that it was a firecracker, and then I realized that was a gunshot, because I'm short, so I didn't see above the crowd. I couldn't really see Charlie when it happened, but yeah, it was scary.
What interested you most about Charlie Kirk and why you came out today?
Well, I would say he's just an interesting person. I honestly haven't listened to a ton of his stuff, but I knew that he is like a pretty strong conservative Republican figure, and I lean more that way. So I just was interested to see what questions other students at UVU had to ask, and what his response would be to them is really it.
Austin, you followed him a little bit more. Tell me just your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really respect Charlie as a person. He's a great person. He's a family guy, a good Christian. Like, he has strong beliefs. They chatted a lot about religion right before it happened. I mean, there was only one question before the shooting, but I really think he's a great person, and he sticks up for what he believes in, and I respect that. And I enjoy watching him debate people. He knows what he's talking about, and he comes from a state of logic, and I respect that a lot. And so I've watched his videos for a while, for years now, honestly. So I think, yeah, he's a really interesting person. I was pretty excited to hear that he was coming to Utah so that he could see, what Utah's about and have his support group here, because I know a lot of people really respect him here. So it's pretty sad that it had to happen here.
Well, I was going to say, just the fact that there was a shooting, he was shot at an event like this. Your thoughts about that?
Honestly, it's kind of shocking just seeing how many hundreds and hundreds of people were there in support of him. And, I think it's really sad. I think people are trying to prove a point. It didn't change my thoughts on the right to bear arms at all. And so it seems like it was kind of for nothing. And I think people just want recognition, and they want to think they're doing something in support of their beliefs, and I think that's pretty messed up. So.
Austin Watts, Sierra Arbonne, I appreciate you being willing to chat with me for a few minutes. Everybody just trying to take this in, what happened here at UVU, and of course, trying to get away from campus is going to take a while. If I can actually just push the camera over here, I didn't prep Stuart for this, but if you look over here, there's this line of cars, and so it's going to take a while. Just getting in here is tough, getting out of here is tough. Some people just wanting to sit it out because there is no easy way out of campus as it has been closed, and as police, as we've seen, have been sweeping the grounds here. So we're going to change positions from where we are. We'll bring you more, but toss it back to the studio for now.
All right, Andrew, thank you for that update. We have an important update that we want to bring you now. Earlier, this is NBC reporting that the university had confirmed that they had the suspect in custody. Now they are saying they do not have the suspect in custody. That may help explain why the campus has been on lockdown, why they have not been allowing people in and out of the university. We can't confirm that report, but that's the latest on the status of what they had reported earlier.
And again, Charlie Kirk reportedly shot in the neck while visiting UVU during his Prove Me Wrong tour. We understand he is in critical condition. We are checking in with our news specialist that we have out there on campus. Let's go ahead and check in with Jody Reynosa right now. You are in one of the parking lots near where this event was taking place and had a chance to talk to some folks who were there and witnessed this.
That is correct. In fact, we are still seeing such heavy traffic, as everybody has mentioned before. Here is an egress right here. Pretty much every artery going in and out of campus is just packed. Because right here it looks like, oh, maybe there's a lull in traffic. Nope, you turn this way. I'm having Greg turn this way, and you have a whole line of traffic trying to exit. And parking lots right now, I'm seeing they're packed because of some students just wanting to kind of, wait it out, see what's happening. Now, let me point you to the direction. Students are telling us that in between these buildings, so you see on the right side, there's like these little pyramids on the top of that roof, and then you see the building to the left. Well, the venue was right between those buildings. We're not able to go close at this point, but that just gives you a perspective as to where the venue was. And as you mentioned before, I do have two students. These are unique students in that they are high school students, okay? They are at Cedar Valley in their senior year. They were just here on campus, though, to take a test. So I'm here with Ryder Warner and Kylie Stauffer. Okay, Ryder, let's start with you. Tell us, what was going on, because you were there at the venue when it first happened.
Yes, ma'am. We were driving past it. So when we passed it, obviously you have all the news cameras, all the cameras pointing towards them, all the students rushing in to go and see what's going on. So we got to witness that, and just a normal talk by Charlie Kirk. It was kind of cool to see Charlie Kirk here. We watch him on TV a lot, watch his clips a lot on YouTube, whatnot. So it was cool to see that. I was in a rush for a test, so I didn't get to stop and see, but I did get to see the venue. It was super pretty. Whole student body was there. It was super pretty to see. Got here, and it seemed like everything was in chaos. They were super hesitant about letting us test.
Before we get to the test, though, I want to just take us back to where you were in the venue, because you said you actually witnessed the shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when they shot, it was, I wasn't actually there. I just saw it afterwards, the aftermath. The cops rushing up, the helicopters flying in. I just saw videos afterwards. It was probably 2 minutes after I left that I actually got to see what happened. So when
you got video from another student, because you said it was very gruesome. What do you mean by that?
Yes, ma'am. The video I had showed the side camera of it, so it was him getting shot in the neck, and you can just see his neck go limp and all the blood come out, stuff like that. Super gruesome scene. I'm super glad I didn't see it in person.
Did you, at that moment, did you go to, what is going on? I mean, what were you thinking at that point?
Definitely panic mode. As soon as I saw that, I knew, well, I'm here on campus. I don't think they're going to let us test, and sure enough, they didn't. Obviously, super panicked. I felt for him, watching him for years. I definitely felt a little bit of sorrow for his family, too. But yeah, state of panic, and definitely just a little bit hurt for him and his family. He is a dad of 2 kids.
Now, it's unique being that you're in high school and you watch Charlie Kirk. You know, you said that your dad and grandpa watch him, and last night you were watching a YouTube video, is that right? And you didn't even know he was going to be here.
I didn't even know he was going to be here. He popped up on my For You page on TikTok, and I was just scrolling through, and I love watching his debates, especially as somebody who's big into English. I was watching his debates and learning how he argues, and I actually definitely based a lot of what he does into my own life, which is big for me, you know, being a student, especially being in an English class.
Now, does he ever talk about violence, or is it, you mentioned he was more Christian-based, and so this seems just out of the ordinary? It
is absolutely out of the ordinary. I can't believe that this even happened. He never talks about violence. You know, it's not something he's big into. He's just into the argumentative side. He loves getting other people's perspectives. He definitely can get under people's skin just because, in like any argument, you know, you're arguing against somebody or against what they're saying, and I guess that just got to him, and somebody finally decided to act on it.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Ryder, we're going to be back with Kylie a little bit later, but we're going to throw it back to you.
Jody Reynosa reporting live from UVU. Again, if you are just joining us, breaking news, Charlie Kirk shot there on the UVU campus as part of his comeback tour. We understand that as he was speaking here at Utah Valley University today, he was also scheduled to bring his American Comeback Tour to Utah State University, and that was going to be held on September 30th, so the end of this month. He was going to make several stops, Deanie.
Yeah, we're getting a word of a Utah-based, it's a change.org petition that basically would keep him from coming. And these are based at Utah State University, where he was scheduled to come later this month. The petition had 3,500 signatures. Students, hundreds reportedly today, are joining on that petition to ask board trustees at the university to prevent this Charlie Kirk from coming to their campus. And it's part of a national debate over controversial speakers coming on college campuses, and universities' role in balancing the freedom of speech and them hearing these speakers versus protecting the safety of students.
And as we just heard from several folks, you know, they wanted to come out. This is what attracts them to Charlie Kirk, because they're able to have this type of dialogue on college campuses. Of course, it does come with some controversy. We do want to check back in with Daniel Woodruff, who is also there on campus. And Daniel, you've had a chance to talk to people there about some of the sights and sounds that they saw. And talking to some bystanders earlier today, they talked about a very calm event moments before they heard a shot.
Yeah, in fact, I'm joined by two more Utah Valley University students who told me that they were some of the first actually to arrive morning for this event. Logan and Raleigh here. Logan, we'll start with you. What kind of set the scene for me? What was it like this morning when you got here, and then tell me what happened?
Yeah, we arrived, I want to say, an hour and a half before everything went on, and there's a couple hundred people here, pretty chill. But then as things went on, people just gathered. I would say there's thousands of people here. And we thought things were just a little unsecure. We thought, you know,
in terms of security getting in?
Yeah, security getting in. There weren't a lot of officers around, police officers. So we just thought things, I don't know, just it didn't seem right from the beginning, in my opinion.
Raleigh, as you were there, what did you notice as the crowd was kind of settling in, and who was there?
Yeah, so we were all there. We were having a good time, excited to see Charlie. The majority of us were, we support Charlie, and there's a group of other people that were kind of antagonizing us up on this bridge up here. And I don't know, there's definitely some kind of bad feelings towards each other, but we didn't think much of it. Like, we thought the security was a little bit off. Like, there wasn't many people looking around to see if anything suspicious was going on. But I don't know, it's a tragic thing that happened, and really sad, and we don't really wish that on anybody.
And Raleigh, when it happened, where were you, and what did you see or hear?
Yeah, so me and Logan and a couple other my buddies, we were, 15 feet away from Charlie, give or take.
Like 5 rows back.
Maybe 5 rows back. And all of a sudden, after the first questionnaire, the person asked a question, the second guy walked up, he started saying something, and then we just heard a pop. It sounded like a firework, but it just echoed around. No one really knew what was going on, and everybody kind of just got stunned for 3 seconds, and then everybody just dogpiled on top of everybody, trying to get low to the ground, mass chaos, and it was pretty scary. Everybody was freaking out, trying to find the people they're with, make sure they're safe. And we didn't know if there was going to be more shots fired or anything. We were I had no idea.
Logan, were you watching the stage where Charlie was speaking when he was shot?
Yeah, so I actually saw it happen, and it was really disturbing. You know, he fell back, and we all dropped. He was rushed off, and then we all just ran towards this way, like through that bridge under there. So, yeah, it was just really disturbing, hard to watch.
We know that this event had attracted some controversy with the petition to try to cancel it, but as you were here and as the event began, I mean, I imagine that it felt like you were surrounded by people who were like-minded or who at least supported him being here to speak.
Yeah, I would say majority of the crowd was for him. You know, there was a lot of chants going on. A lot of the people were for Charlie. There were some people in the back that were, you know, against him, but I would say majority were for him.
And as you've processed what happened, I mean, it's been now I guess a couple of hours, I don't even know what time it is, but what's been going through your mind as you've just sort of been replaying what you watched?
I'm lost for words. I don't know. It's something we'll remember for the rest of our lives, that's for sure. I don't know. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Obviously super sad and tragic, and I think it's sad that we can't even have a civil conversation anymore. Yeah. It just turns into stuff like this. Like, he has an open mic. Like, if you disagree with him, come talk to him. But apparently that's not what some people want to do, and they want to just have violence and lash out instead of talking through things.
And we love Charlie. We hope he's okay. Yeah, we're praying for him, and we hope everything's all right.
And in terms of engaging with him, that's, as I understand, the point of the tour, correct? Is that he'll answer questions and that it's a back and forth engagement.
That's exactly right. So if you disagree with him, he welcomes you up, and he'll try to be respectful. Some people aren't respectful to him, and it kind of gets heated sometimes, but he's open to discuss things with you, and he tries to keep an open mind. So I just think it's sad that other people won't give him the same kind of courtesy.
Well, you guys are students here. You're from Utah County. Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Just prayers out to Charlie and his family, and
stay safe.
Yeah.
Well, Logan and Raleigh, I appreciate it. Thank you for spending a few minutes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
So some more perspectives here from the west side of the Utah Valley University campus. And the campus is closed now as a result of this shooting for the rest of the day. No classes are being held. I did want to note that I got an alert from BYU, which is not too many miles from here in Provo. They sent out an alert noting that their campus remains open, but that they do have increased security and police presence as a result of what happened here at neighboring Utah Valley University. So a lot of surrounding institutions and organizations are closely watching what's happened and waiting for more information. Obviously, a lot is still unknown right now, but you heard from these witnesses what they saw, what they heard as they were just behind me here where the event was taking place. The tent where Charlie Kirk was speaking is literally a few yards away from where we're standing right now on the west side of UVU. Back to you.
Yeah, Daniel, that was some really stark testimony and things that they witnessed today. You know, I had another thought as we were seeing the video from Chopper 5 of those bleachers, an event that had been full just moments before and was now, you see, littered with backpacks and with water bottles. And it's a hard contrast to see an event where people are having open discourse to one where they obviously fled in fear and just left everything behind. That was it's
very telling, isn't it?
It is. It says a lot just by what's left behind.
And we've been hearing accounts all afternoon long from our news specialists that out there on campus. We want to check back in with Dan Rescon. And Dan, you have been speaking to so many people there that they're just willing to share their insights and what they saw, some describing it as traumatic and something they're never going to forget.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Boy, these stories that we're hearing out here on campus are just pretty incredible right now. But we're about 2 hours after the shooting here. Things are finally starting to clear up out here. That's UCCU Center there, just over here. So we're on the north side of it. And as you can see, the traffic right now beginning to clear up. It's pretty much opened up right around in this area also. So it's finally starting to kind of get that congestion out of the way here. But we're going to bring in Gordon Ramses. Now, Gordon, you were actually there at the event also. We've been hearing a lot of stories from people that were there at the event. You were kind of behind the event, and as far as like some windows were right there, and then you were seeing. What did you see exactly from your vantage point?
So, like you said, I was like in the Hall of Flags building. I was behind the window. When I heard the shots, I didn't see where the shot came from. Of course, when that shot happened, everybody from my building ducked down. I ducked down as well. And like before I ducked down, I got like a little glimpse at Charlie Kirk, and there was blood all over his shoulder and on his left shoulder, and that is pretty devastating to see. I wish I could unsee that, but that was pretty traumatizing and stuff.
We've heard a lot of that. Your reaction that something would happen like that right here at UVU. I mean, this is obviously a very safe campus, a lot of good students here, a lot of good people. Your reaction?
Yeah, no, like you said, like there's a lot of good people, like friends, professors. This is UVU is the place for you, and like so far, like it's been an awesome experience. For something that to happen is just really devastating, and I can't believe it happened right here.
Kind of describe a little bit of the chaos there is what we heard as far as people kind of running and kind of getting out of the way there. I mean, there's some shock there, but tell us kind of what you saw when people started to kind of get out of the way.
So yeah, when I saw the one, like after the shot, everybody from the courtyard started running away. Everybody from my building started running away. But me, like I was like a little shocked, so I couldn't really move. So I was just standing in one spot, ducking my head down. For some reason, I don't know why I didn't run away. I was just like, oh my goodness, is this really happening? So at first I was like, is this really happening? And yeah, so then like after like everybody was cleared out, I finally got up and looked at the aftermath, and it was pretty devastating.
And tell me a little bit about coming back to school now. Of course, campus is closed right now. Yeah. Your thoughts about coming back to school? Is that going to be a little traumatic?
I mean, for me, it won't be dramatic. It'll just be like another day, another like life. I mean, yeah, did it traumatize me? Yeah, but like I'm not gonna think about it too much. Of course, like, will it traumatize me for life, forever? Yeah, it will. But all of this is like keeping positive, having positive minds, and like having like Jesus and God on your side. So, but like for other students, they're probably traumatized to come back here. I can't imagine what other students have to go through, especially something similar to mine.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's Gordon Ramsey's just joining us here on campus. Again, we're hearing a lot of the same kind of stories here. A lot of trauma here as far as these students are concerned, a lot of shock, a lot of disbelief that something like that would just happen right there in the middle of the day. It seemed like a very safe venue. It seemed like a very safe area, of course, and then to have something like that happen and to witness something like that. And not only did they witness it, but it was very traumatic as far as what they witnessed, to be able to see someone actually get hit with a bullet, blood coming out, and then that person dropping to the ground. So everybody out here, a lot of people saying that are praying for Charlie, hoping that he will be able to recover right now. But again, campus is finally starting to clear out in this area again, as we mentioned, just on the north side here of the UCCU Center Arena. And boy, traffic is really kind of moving forward finally, but it took a couple of hours to be able to get everybody out of here. But man, it was quite the traffic jam. A lot of police presence still out here in this area. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Dan Rascon reporting live from UVU campus. Thank you, Dan.
One thing I'm seeing on social media here, just in the last half hour, UVU has put on X, that campus is closed, classes canceled. We knew that, but they're still calling on people who are on campus to shelter in place. That coincides, with information that we've learned that the university has now said they do not have a suspect in custody. So just keeping you up to date. We can't confirm the suspect of the status of the suspect, but within the last half hour, the university is still urging people to secure in place until police officers can escort you safely off campus. Let's go now to Alex Cabrera, who has been on campus. Alex, what are you hearing out there in your vantage point now?
Yeah, we made it a little further onto campus from where the parking lot was, and you just mentioned that police are asking those still inside the school to shelter in place until an officer can maybe escort them to a parking lot or to their car. And that's what we've seen a little bit here and there. A lot of police officers here near the UCC Center, and then right behind us over here, I mean, there are several police officers from all sorts of different agencies, not only in Utah County, but I've noticed a few from outside of Utah County as well, just all helping to be a part of this. And just a few seconds, up there you can see the DPS helicopter, Department of Public Safety, up in the air as well. Now, one thing, hearing that maybe a suspect is not in custody at this point. Originally, we were hearing that there was a suspect in custody. And it kind of let a lot of people here on campus that we saw, students leaving the area, maybe think a little bit like, okay, let's just leave, everything's okay. But now hearing that a suspect may not be in custody, it's kind of amped things up just a little bit again with students, as they're saying, is it's safe to get out of here. And last we heard again that if you are in a building right now, shelter in place and wait for a police officer to come get you. But as you can see, I mean, just the parking lot here, it was definitely full a little while ago. Still a lot of cars here from those that are sheltering in place and such like that. But just waiting now to get the official word that it might be okay to come out. And here you can see a police officer right here armed and just making sure everything is tip-top on this end before maybe letting some students that are still in the building out of the building. So we'll continue to stay here. In fact, I was just chatting with an employee, a source of mine, somebody that I've known for a few years, saying that they were inside their offices right back in here. They were brought to the baseball field, and now they have been moved from the baseball field as they still try to figure out exactly what's going on with the suspect and everything about safety on that sort of thing. So again, we'll continue to stay here. We'll walk around, chat with some more people, and try to update you with more information as it becomes available.
Thank you so much. Alex Cabrera reporting live from us from UVU campus. And just want to bring your attention to the screen here. We were just looking at chopper video there, and we had just mentioned that Utah Valley University had sent out a post on X reminding folks that the campus is closed right now. Classes have since been canceled. And as we've been talking about talking to our reporters, there's still people trickling in, but as you can see from the Chopper 5 footage here, we did see what appeared to be law enforcement going door to door from building to building. And that coincides with what UVU has posted on X. They are making sure that the campus is secure. They're going building to building. If you are on campus, they are escorting people safely off campus. They're just reminding people to please clear out the campus again, because UVU had reported just within minutes that they do not have a suspect in custody. So this is going to be something that they're actively pursuing right now, as we're showing you that Chopper 5 footage where police are going building to building. They're going to be escorting people off campus, making sure that the campus is safe and secure.
Let's go now to Mike Hedrick, who is on the UVU campus. So, Mike, just within the last few minutes, UVU is calling this an unfolding situation. We're still seeing officers going in. What can you tell us from what you're seeing?
Yeah, as officers are going in, everyone else is coming out. So you can look in the parking lot right here. This is the main entrance of UVU where that roundabout is, and it gets pretty busy during school time. I have never seen this many emergency vehicles in one spot at one time. It's incredible. An Auburn car is behind me as well. You have SWAT, multiple SWAT agencies that are here. So again, when you look at all these flashing lights, all these emergency vehicles, if there's any question how seriously they're taking it, that's it right there. And so I've spoken to a number of students who were here on campus. As Alex talked about a little bit earlier, as they go inside these buildings here, room by room, clearing things out, they're not letting anyone in. We have one student that I overheard she was trying to get inside there and get her laptop. They're like, sorry, give me your name and number. We can get that to you later, but now's not the time to do so. So right now they're clearing everything out. I'll tell you, I parked about a mile or so away. That's how far I had to be away and then order to walk all the way in here. And again, here we are 2 hours after this shooting. You still have this police presence and you still have the traffic that you do of people just trying to get out of here. Again, Alex commented on the investigative part of this. We're still in the early moments of this, as you know, even a couple hours in. It's still early. They're still trying to gather what information. They're just trying to make sure everyone is safe at this point. And I think once everyone is considered to be safe and there doesn't appear to be any further threats in the area, that's when they're going to come out. That's where they're going to discuss and tell us what they know so far. I spoke with one individual, actually a member of the basketball team here at UVU. He was in the parking lot trying to get out just like everyone else. He said he was there maybe 20, 30 yards away at this event. And when he saw Charlie get shot, he said, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And so that seems to be the same thing we're hearing from a number of other people. And as soon as he was shot, he said it appeared he was shot in his neck and then he dropped. Again, these are witness statements. These are things that we have seen, or they have seen, and they're sharing with us. None of this has been officially confirmed, so we're waiting on that. But again, Deanie, as we look at this main entrance here to UVU, what the feel is, it's quiet right now, other than you just see all of these lights. And I dare say most of those cars are empty right now. Police presence is heavy on campus right now. We'll continue and follow it, and if anything changes, we'll let you know.
Mike, we appreciate that update, and we've got another update. This is from NBC News. President Trump is posting on Truth Social just within the last few minutes. He has reported that Charlie Kirk has died. Again, we are just seeing this as we're reporting it. We got it from NBC News, but it is a report from President Trump on his Truth Social
and as
media.
That is just really some unsettling news, especially based on the accounts that we've been hearing from bystanders who were there, witnesses, students who had gone to this event just 2 hours ago, coinciding with what they saw. Reports also confirmed by AP that he was shot in the neck. Very traumatic for those people that we have been hearing from. And now to get a post from President Donald Trump stating, in fact, that 31-year-old Charlie Kirk has died.
We've been seeing all afternoon. It's a sobering update because we've been seeing all afternoon leaders from the state, leaders from the political parties, even on the national level, sending their prayers, their concerns for Charlie Kirk and for Utah and the students and everybody who was involved in that. It's hard news to process on top of what everybody has already been through down there.
And we have been talking about UVU campus as well. Classes canceled today, campus closed. Police saying that everybody needs to clear out to make sure that the campus is secure and safe. We do have our reporters who have been there on scene, and they've been talking to some folks there about their perspective about what they saw there at that event. Let's go to Jody Reynosa now. Jody, what can you tell us?
Well, it's a very solemn feeling right now. As reporters talked about before, it's quieted down here. The parking lots are very thin. You don't see, the stream of cars trying to make that egress, out of campus. A lot quieter than before. But we did see those SWAT sheriff, big vehicles coming in here to make sure things are safe or to see what they can do, figure out what they can do. We're hearing DPS helicopters overhead. I am with a high school senior from Cedar Valley High School. Kylie Stauffer joins me, and she was here. She wasn't expecting to go see Charlie Kirk. She was actually here to support Ryder, who I spoke with earlier. But we're going to go to her and see what was that feeling like when you heard people coming out and screaming.
It's a very surreal, scary moment, not knowing what's going on with everybody around, and it's like, where are they? That's the scariest part, not knowing where they are and wondering if you guys are safe and if, everybody else is safe.
And you happen to be here to give support to Ryder, who was taking a test, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, what is your family, your friends, is there a flurry of text messages coming in saying, are you okay?
So many text messages, are you okay? What's going on? I heard it on the news. A lot coming in.
What is your feeling, though? I mean, not too common that this happens around these parts.
No, it's very scary, especially it's very shock. I feel like we're all still in shock. Like, it just hasn't, set in all the way because we're all just, hearing everything as it's coming in.
And now hearing that Charlie Kirk has passed from this horrific shooting, what are your feelings?
Super sad. I don't even know what to feel at this point because it's all just happened so fast and just very sad, feel bad for his family and everybody else.
Any of your actions or your path forward in your mind, has that kind of changed, or has the trajectory changed being that this happened? I mean, you're in high school. I mean, are you thinking about, okay, what precautionary measures do I need to take if I decide to go to college around here?
Yeah.
Society. And, again, I'm praying for his recovery. And he's an important part of this whole fabric and debate, and praying for his family. So, God bless you. I got to go vote. See you guys.
Yeah. Well.
And it's like, but there's all I see him running everywhere.
Yeah.
You better not just take these statins because it's all good that you can't outrun genetics. I'm sure something's gonna.
Oh, I take a statin, but it's not really good for you to take it either.
Yeah, there's it depends because he's worried because he's got calcium built because he didn't take it.
This is just a large amount of calcified water. And then it says
To you.
Reynosa reporting live for us from the UVU campus, talking to folks there. Again, just getting the news moments ago. President Trump posting on Truth Social that Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, has died.
Yeah. We just are seeing also a post on social media from Governor Cox, who says he just got off the phone with President Trump, working with the FBI and the Utah law enforcement to bring this individual to justice after this tragedy. He and his wife, Abby, are heartbroken. Tough news. Everyone is reeling from this because it's been such a traumatic event to happen in our state, on our campus, to expose so many young people to something like this. And we all are going to be grieving this together. Let's go to this special report from NBC for a moment and see what they are reporting at that level.
Life. That someone who engaged, exercised his democratic rights, both encouraged and provoked those to share ideas, and violence has apparently taken his life, according to President Trump. Tom?
Yeah, Kelly, we have covered politics, you and I, for a while now, and I don't know if we have seen, as you described it, a season of political violence like this, starting in Butler with the assassination attempt on President Trump that came so very close, just inches away, as we all saw in the photos and the video, and as the president has described, a second assassination attempt on his life. What happened just recently in Minnesota with those lawmakers assassinated literally on their front doorstep. And now you have Charlie Kirk, who was never elected, never held office, a political activist, a young man, now shot in cold blood in front of a very friendly crowd from the eyewitnesses we have spoken to. In a very sick type of irony, Charlie's group was called Turning Point because he thought there was a turning point now in politics with President Trump and where the Republican Party had gone. And Kelly, you wonder if now in his death, there may be a turning point when it comes to politics in this country. I mean, how will political activists, any type of political speech now, happen in America, right? When you have something like this happen in a place where someone thought he was speaking to a friendly crowd.
Well, certainly it was a largely friendly crowd. I mean, Utah, which is certainly conservative, a university-based, the kind of group of followers who would know who Charlie Kirk is right off the bat, a figure who lived on their phones and in their social media, ever present in those ways. We have seen over time, when there are these wrenching moments of political violence, there are waves of what happens. Initially, there is the shock. There is bipartisan or across the spectrum condemnation of political violence. There are inevitably questions about the availability of guns and questions of security. Obviously, our elected senior leaders have intense security around them. But on a campus, a political actor like Charlie Kirk, you would have basic security, local law enforcement, campus police, that kind of thing. You would not have the kind of screening that would prevent weapons. We're also talking about an outdoor event where you could have long-range kind of ability to assess a situation on the part of a gunman or gunwoman, a shooter. And so there are so many questions to be filled out. But I think there will certainly be a moment to again address what is the place of violence. Are our politics so poisonous that people cannot control the impulse to act out? Those are societal issues. Right now, we're still in the early fact gathering. There'll be a period of acknowledging his life, those who will grieve his memory, and then what are the next steps?
Yeah. Kelly, stand by for us. I want to bring in former White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, a friend of Charlie Kirk, who was just texting with him yesterday, and he was on the House floor moments ago during a moment of silence. Hogan, first, I am so sorry for your loss. You knew Charlie. Talk to me about what you remember about him and what this moment means right now. It is so incredibly sad for those people that were close to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, thanks, Tom, for having me. I remember working in the first Trump administration in the White House, and Charlie would come by, and we would all kind of look and say, "Who is this kid? What does he think he's doing?" He's so ambitious, and he's so talented at this young age, and we all kind of gravitated toward him. We watched what he was doing with the youth across this country, not afraid to go into hostile areas and have a debate over ideas. No violence, altercations other than verbal, because that's what the country is all about, disagreeing. And he built a brand, he built an entity, he built a movement based on the ability to come together and have these sensible, honest conversations with statistics, with data, and just watching him do that, it was just awe-inspiring for someone like me who's been in this movement for such a long time, and to watch him at such a young age be able to capture the hearts and minds of so many across the country really was a blessing to me. I will tell you, we were texting just the other day, as you mentioned. He was supposed to go speak at my alma mater at the end of October at Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi in Oxford, and I told him I saw that he was coming, and he knew I went there. He said, "Oh, you have to come to that. We're going to have a great time." And so I was trying to plan a trip down to Oxford to be with him. And now this happens today, and I'm so sad to think of his wife and his children who were left behind after this tragedy. But I'm also filled with rage to think someone would do something like this simply for disagreeing with somebody politically. We don't know the motivations yet, but obviously they didn't like Charlie. But there's no place for political violence in this country. The shooter is grotesque, is vile, is a disgusting person, and you know, as Kelly said, as you said, we're going to wait and see more information as it comes out. But right now, I think a lot of people are in shock. A lot of people are angry, and a lot of people are sad at what just occurred.
Hogan, you know, you can never get in the mind of somebody who would want to assassinate a political figure, a public figure, right? Likely they have some type of issues. What was it you think about Charlie that would compel someone to do this, in the sense that he, like I said to Kelly, he was not elected. He had never held political office, but he had a huge platform, millions of followers on social media. But he's not a household name. If you're not really into politics, you likely don't know who Charlie Kirk is. And maybe even if you're not into Republican politics, you have never heard of him. We know him because we work in this space. You work with him closely, as you had said. But what do you think it was about Charlie that would have prompted somebody to do something as vile and as violent as this?
Well, there is nothing about Charlie that would, should, or could push somebody to do something like this. That is unacceptable, regardless of your thoughts of his policies or his positions. There is no excuse, there is no reason, there is no rationale for this behavior in any form or fashion. I don't care what Charlie Kirk said, what he did, no excuse for this at all. And what is so frustrating is, as the tensions in this country continue to get ratcheted up, you brought this up at the beginning of the segment, we had a former president, a candidate, dodge a bullet in reality, was shot in the ear, and then another assassination attempt was foiled. And now we have someone like Charlie Kirk as well. You mentioned not elected, true, but someone who just went to go on these college campuses, and as they used to be places we could share ideas and debate ideas, it seems like they've become petri dishes or cesspools for silencing and censoring voices that differ with your opinions. And so there is no reason for anyone to want to attack Charlie Kirk. There is no reason that is legitimate by any stretch of the imagination. We don't know this person. We don't know the motivation, as you said. However, this is just flat out evil.
Yeah, flat out evil, and it speaks to sort of how large of a figure Charlie had become, if you will, Hogan, right? He had become someone who, when we just see that video in Utah, thousands of people had shown up.
We've been listening in to NBC News special report on Charlie Kirk, confirmed by President Donald Trump on Truth Social. 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was shot and killed at the Utah Valley University State Campus earlier today at an event that was fairly a friendly crowd. As you know, if you are familiar with Charlie Kirk, he is on this America Comeback tour where he travels across the nation to different college campuses where there is debates and political discourse. And we have been getting statements from, as you can imagine, from local leaders. We want to share with you what Governor Spencer Cox has written on X. In part, it says, quote, "Working with the FBI and Utah law enforcement, we will bring to justice the individual responsible for this tragedy. We are praying for Charlie's wife, daughter, and son." And we should note UVU has confirmed they do not have a suspect in custody at this time, Deanie.
And here's a statement from President Trump. "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." Those are the latest developments, even as we are still seeing troops and police officers, law enforcement, going into buildings on campus. Let's check back in with Mike Hedrick to see the latest now that this information has been confirmed. Mike?
Yeah, so Deanie, again, I'm right here at the center. Anyone who knows and comes off of University Avenue comes through this area. This huge roundabout here on UVU's campus. This is where you go to park, and you can see all other cars have been cleared out. Look around here. You can just see a lot of flashing lights, police vehicles. I'll tell you, I tried to count, and I've never seen so many emergency crews or vehicles on a scene. There's got to be anywhere from 50 to 75 of these vehicles throughout the parking lot. And then you can multiply that by whatever number as far as the number of police and other emergency personnel who are here on scene. It's incredible, the presence. But it seems quiet on campus. Other than seeing all of this law enforcement here, it is quiet for the most part. They're clearing room by room many of these buildings right now, the classrooms, to make sure everyone is out, everyone is safe, and making sure that there are no other threats. As far as I have heard or talking to anyone else, it doesn't seem like there are any other active threats, but they can't take that for granted. They can't take that risk, and they need to make sure that everything is cleared before they move forward and continue on with the investigation here. Again, I've spoken to a number of people today who are right up close, probably within 15, 20 yards. I got a couple of guys right here who were actually asking questions before that final question was asked, and that's when Charlie got shot. So right now with me is Henry. Henry, I appreciate the time. You also got Ryan over here, right? So, Henry, you asked a question right before the individual did after you. What did he ask, and then what happened?
So, basically, he just asked questions about transgenderism, and it led into like transgender violence and shooters and stuff like that, based off of what's been happening around the country, and it's just been a problem. But I just thought it was very hard to reconcile for a while there. I think I was just in a state of shock, but the fact that it was like 10 to 20 seconds after I walked away, I turned back and I see Charlie just gushing blood from his neck. And after that, you have a random old kook who has no weapon but confesses to the shooting for some reason. And I'm not okay with that, because that took up a lot of cops that were there at the time that could have been searching for the shooter, because the shooter's at large. We don't know where he's at. They're, like you said, they're clearing room by room. And I think a lot of us are super angry. A lot of us are super angry because it's just a lot.
So you're telling me that the person, that older gentleman who we've seen video on social media, who claims to possibly have shot him, you're saying you don't believe he was the shooter?
He didn't have a gun. He didn't have a weapon on him. He just confessed to it, and they grabbed him, pulled him over. Because I'll tell you this, I was there about an hour and a half before the thing even started, before everyone showed up, and he was going around and talking to any conservatives and stuff, just bashing Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's this, Charlie Kirk's a racist, Charlie Kirk's blah, 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 blah. And he was just making a scene. And it doesn't surprise me. He didn't, from what I could tell, he didn't have anything on him. If they did, I don't think they would be looking for the shooter, because they would, if it was him, they would have the weapon with him, but it wasn't there. So that's the whole thing.
And you've heard since in the last moments, President Trump sent out as well on social media that he passed away.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I had a friend actually who just sent me a message. There were a bunch of friends who'd seen me already on the news and stuff have been messaging me, telling me like, yeah, dude, he didn't make it. And I think me and Ryan and a whole bunch of us are just fed up with it. We don't know. There's stuff that needs to happen. It needs to change. Opinions shouldn't lead to shootings. I'm sorry.
I think most people would probably agree with that.
Yes,
you
sir.
hope so, at least.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much,
Of
Henry.
course.
Ryan, let me talk to you a little bit, and you can stay here as well, Henry, if you'd like. Talk to me about where you were. Were you two together when this happened, or where were you standing?
No, I was about 50 feet away. I was in the thick of the crowd. I was working my way up to the stand to ask Charlie some questions. At that moment that the shot rang out, I look over and I see Charlie Kirk slump over for just a split second, and the crowd just pushes back. There's a huge stampede pushing back. People are jumping into the fountain. People are running towards the building. I stuck around, tried to stay away out of everybody's way, pulled out my phone, started to take some video. I got down there closer to the stand, and there was very little police presence. However, at that time, I believe that's when That was when they had taken Charlie away. That's when they had already taken the alleged suspect away. But as Henry mentioned, with that suspect, we were talking to somebody from Deseret News who said they recognize this individual, and he goes to political events. He goes to a lot of events with news and with media, and he tries to
store contention.
Yep, he tries to gain attention, tries to take credit for what's going on, and here he is jumping up right after the shot saying he did it. So that's really concerning to know, and I mean, hence the police presence that we see here today. It looks like they have not apprehended the actual shooter.
Did you see the shot fired?
I didn't. It did sound like it came from the right side of me, and I tried to look, but I was getting pushed back by the crowd. I was talking to a professor who works here, and he said with the view that anybody could have had of Charlie, it could have been from 200 yards away. So I think that's why we're seeing drones in the air. That's why we've got helicopters in the air. We have a SWAT response. We're seeing snipers. So I think they're still trying to figure out really where the shot came from.
Last thing I'll ask you, you described the chaos. What were you feeling and thinking in the middle of that chaos immediately after shots were fired?
I was thinking there is no way that this can be real. Being here in Utah, where it's relatively safe, at UVU campus, where there's a lot of like-minded individuals, you always hear people say you never think it's going to happen to you. I have a different mindset. I think of always being prepared, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I hope that everybody who's seeing this event unfold, I hope that this is their call to action, to speak up, to stand out, to make change, because this is unacceptable. We can't live like this.
And I'll ask you, we've heard this a lot from people about there needs to be a change, from people who were there on campus. We hear this from politicians as well. What is that change? What's going to change somebody from doing something like this?
Like I said, we were speaking to a teacher earlier, and he was talking about how practically the entire university, the chair, the president, the chair, no one was informed. No one was informed that that there was not going to be enough security or anything. Some people were in class not even knowing Charlie was coming. I don't think that's okay, especially after what happened in Butler in Pennsylvania with President Trump and all this stuff. We know that this violence exists, and we all know that Utah's had a lot of progressives come into the state, and with the same old rhetoric that leads to instances like this. And I think it's the rhetoric of people saying like, oh, well, we saw people that were smiling when it happened. We saw people that were like, oh, good shot. All from, this certain group of people.
Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. Both of you, thank you very much. I appreciate taking the time. I'm glad you're safe. I appreciate you sharing your stories and your eyewitness accounts. So thank you. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
So, Deanie, as we kind of wrap up that conversation, it's very similar to a lot of other people we spoke with. It's really a surreal situation that happened here. Conservative town USA, that's really what this is. And so a lot of people would not think that something like this would happen. And again, we're still trying to figure it out. Police are still trying to figure out. You still wouldn't have this presence out here if they weren't still trying to figure out exactly what happened. So we hope to get some of those answers at some point today, but I think it may take a while. Back to you.
It's disturbing to even hear that kind of testimony and those kind of interviews from students, from young people who had to witness that kind of stuff.
Again, if you are just joining us, President Trump confirmed on a post on Truth Social, Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, has died after being shot at an event held at Utah Valley University just a couple of hours ago. And I just wanted to read a little portion of that post from President Trump, where he says, quote, "No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us." And President Trump also added, "Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family." And also we are getting a statement from Senator Mike Lee from Utah, who had posted, "Charlie Kirk was an American patriot, an inspiration to countless young people to stand up and defend the timeless truths that make our country great. This murder was a cowardly act of violence, an attack on champions of freedom like Charlie and the students who gathered."
So as police on campus continue escorting people out of buildings and off campus, they continue to tell people to shelter in place until they can be escorted off. And Presumably, they continue to look for the suspect. We're just trying to bring you updated information as we can see it coming out. One of the latest bits that we've seen is an update from the University of Utah. They are open, but they did issue a safety alert encouraging people to be extra precautious, but then to also recognize that they have extra security on campus for the events all this week. Let's go to Andrew, who is also on campus. Andrew, you've been talking to people all day. What have you got at your location?
Well, actually, I just wanted to give you a quick scene setter of what we're looking at, because as this situation is getting sorted out and they're going room to room, we're seeing some swift movement over here just south of the Fugel Gateway building, which is directly south of where the shooting took place. And so you see that this Jeep that is speeding off here, it looked like a few guys dressed in fatigues getting into that vehicle and heading off quickly. Just before that, we saw like I would call it a Bearcat-like truck. I don't know if that's the actual description. It also took off in a hurry. Just prior to that, we saw people in SWAT gear as we're just looking at that vehicle exiting. We did see some swift movements. We saw some police running south, but at the same time, we saw some people rushing into the Gateway building. Again, they're in the process of clearing campus, so walking and going place to place, that can be expected, but we just saw law enforcement rushing to a different location unknown to us. And so that makes you wonder exactly what is going on with those people right now. But just wanted to give you an idea of the situation, that it is continuing to evolve here with the police response. And again, just resetting, if you're just tuning into us, we saw several SWAT people get in vehicles and book it that way, and then up out toward the south end of campus. So we don't know exactly where they are going. Just prior to that, though, and this, I just want to point you this way, as you see, well, between the trees, you might be able to see the legs of a SWAT officer rushing in toward this building. We've seen a lot of attention on the Fugel Gateway building, which is what this is, again, directly south of the shooting area. And so presumably going in to clear it, but we don't know if there is anything more pressing than that in this building. But again, in a larger scale process of clearing the entire campus, can't imagine how a grueling of a process that is, understanding how many rooms there are on a college campus where as many as 50,000 students go to school. It's just wild. But that's what we've just been seeing in the last few minutes. We'll toss it back to the studio, try and see if we can get some more information at some point.
All right, Andrew Adams reporting live from UVU campus for us with that update. Thank you.
We appreciate just the updated information and seeing that this is still, UVU has reported, this is still an unfolding situation. We're seeing that. Police dogs still on campus, officers still speeding to different places. We don't know what the latest developments are, but we will keep you posted, and that's why we keep checking in with our various reporters who are in different spots on campus. Let's check in with Dan Rascone. Dan, any movement on your end of campus?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing out here on our end also. We're along University Avenue here and also I-15. You can see officers just behind me here. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here, but they're trying to get out of the way as far as getting over the curb here and flipping themselves around so they can race off to another area. So I'm not exactly sure where these officers are going, but they seem to be heading down towards I-15. That's basically the northbound lanes there of I-15. We see another one racing off right there. So something must be going on where we could obviously see officers jumping in the vehicles right here. And as you see, here we go. Another car that's going to be heading kind of the entrance here. This is the entrance to northbound I-15 along basically right next to the UVU. So I don't know if maybe there's somebody that's been found or the possible shooter that's been located or what happens there. But again, we're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of SWAT members also running across campus to a variety of different areas. But you can just give you a little bit of a picture here. If you were to come off of I-15 here and University, you could see, and then you start heading basically towards UVU, just all this police force right here in this area. And then as we kind of flip around here, it's just completely congested here. And then we go all the way to where that roundabout is, kind of where Mike Hedrick is. And that's where you see all of the congestion there with all of the police officers and all of the agencies from a variety of different places. But again, as everybody's been kind of mentioning here, suddenly we're starting to see a lot of activity as far as officers racing off to different locations. What's interesting, though, is that we saw some officers going this way. Now we see these officers coming our way here. So again, we're not really exactly sure what's happening, but apparently there's a lot of activity as far as officers try to get to a variety of different locations right now. But the stories have just been horrendous to be able to hear some of these students describe exactly what they saw out there. We've been hearing all day long here, one story after another, about the trauma that they experienced as they saw Charlie get shot there. Many of them describing in detail kind of what happened, where the bullet hit, the blood that they saw. So many of these students are saying it's going to be difficult to get back to campus here. And that's going to be one of the big questions here, is trying to get back to campus and trying to get back to reality again as far as getting back to their studies. This is an experience that many of these students told us time and time again that they will never forget, that this is something that they'll never forget in a lifetime. And so very sad, very tragic what happened here, very upsetting. But again, a lot of police activity kind of happening here and there behind us. Another vehicle here, another city police officer from Orem trying to get out to get to another location. So again, we're just seeing this kind of spread out as far as officers trying to get to different locations. If we can find anything out as to what's happening out here, we'll of course bring you the latest. Deanie, back to you.
Yeah, great job out there, Dan, and we just appreciate the perspective as we unfold and learn more details. And to that end, we just got a statement from Utah Valley University, still offering a phone number to students or anyone who might still be on campus if they need a police escort out. So as recently as within the last few minutes, they're encouraging people to call a number so they can get escorted out of a building or off campus. And that is an active situation for people who are still on the campus.
And Deanie, we are continuing to get reaction basically from the death of Charlie Kirk. I'm just receiving one here from State Senator Mike McKell here from Utah, who posted on X, Charlie Kirk was a father, a husband, a family member, and a friend to many. This violence needs to stop. I'm praying for his family. This loss is immense. Well, let's go check back in with Daniel Woodruff, who is also there on the UVU campus for us. Daniel.
Yeah, so we're on the west side, and if you look just over there, that is where the shooting of Charlie Kirk happened. You see a tent. On the outside, it says, "Prove Me Wrong." That was the name of his tour, and he was speaking in that tent on a chair we've seen from videos on social media, and there were people on those bleacher-type areas watching and listening when the shots rang out. We've seen police officers over there. In fact, a little bit ago, an interesting sight, there is a walkway, a sort of a sky bridge just before the tent, and we saw a number of SWAT officers running, and that's kind of lines up with what Dan has reported and Mike, that there seems to be this activity on campus as there is confusion and uncertainty about exactly where the shooter is or shooters. We don't know a lot of information. As we know, UVU initially said a suspect was in custody, and now reports from NBC News and others say that a suspect is not in custody. And so some of us in the media have been just talking among ourselves about wondering about where we're located and what else might be going on here on campus. I also want to have my photographer pan off to the right there. You can see in the parking lot directly to the south of where we are, a number of law enforcement officers. I don't know what agency they're from, but they were just patrolling the far west part of campus. And that is something that we have seen more and more of, these uniformed and well-armed law enforcement officers that have been coming to this area to walk around and go toward the area where the shooting took place. We've also been hearing from people who, in fact, let's look over at the building there. It looks as if law enforcement officers are actually escorting some people out of the building there. It looked to me like they were students, but we've been told that UVU has given people a number to call if they were still on campus. People have been told to shelter in place, and I'd like to actually run over and see if I can talk to them, so I'll send it back to you for right now, guys.
Okay, Daniel Woodruff reporting from us, UVU. Obviously a very fluid situation. As we were looking at Chopper 5 footage too, showing the police presence there, as we've been telling folks at UVU, the campus is closed and they are escorting people off campus.
And
let's go ahead.
And that's actively happening as we see it. Okay, yeah, see, we are seeing law enforcement in what looks like tactical gear escorting people off campus, I can't tell if they're going into a building or out of one, but they're still a clear presence on the campus, and they are still issuing phone numbers from the university that if you need to be escorted out, stay sheltered in place until someone comes in to get you out and off campus. And it looks like they're going into that building, just to either carry some of that out or to investigate. Yeah, there's still ongoing information that we don't have, but things happening on campus.
And we've been getting different perspectives from our reporters who are fanned out across the campus there. Let's check back in with Alex Cabrero. Alex, tell us where you are and what you've been able to witness right now.
Yeah, we are right at the main entrance to UVU, just off the main highway right here by the Chevron station. And you've seen it from Mike's vantage point and my colleague Dan Rascone, police officers pretty much everywhere. But we just came over here really quickly because we saw a whole bunch of police officers in that tactical gear making their way to this section here. We see a couple of ambulances as well, full lights on and everything. Still waiting for official confirmation on exactly what is happening at this point. But I can tell you, as I know many of us have been saying, I mean, there are police cars from agencies not only in Utah County but Salt Lake County. This is where the cooperation comes in. This is where you see a lot of police training as well. When they do their tactical training, when they enter buildings, when they search for suspects, what they're doing now isn't brand new to these officers. This is something that they constantly train for. They've trained at places like UVU in the past. I know we've done at least one story on some of the training methods that they do. Now it's just a matter really of trying to find the person who did this. We keep hearing that suspect right now is still not in custody. And so where is that person? That's what kind of ratcheted things up here, I'd say, in the past hour or so, simply because first we heard that a suspect was in custody. People seemed calm, seemed relaxed. But when they started hearing that, no, they're still looking for something, that's where a lot of people started saying, well, they look around, you can see them, and just like, well, where might that person be? Is that person still here? That's why police officers, there are dozens and dozens and even more police officers out here just trying to keep things as safe as possible and also escort those students that are still sheltering in place in some of these buildings, bringing those students outside, getting them out to their cars, to waiting loved ones, to friends, so that they can continue on their way. But right now, campus still is officially closed. No classes today. Now it's just a matter of waiting for a press conference or some type of an official statement from UVU. I know that some of the people involved in public communications and such, not only with UVU but with different agencies here, they're kind of chatting right now in one of the buildings, figuring out how they're going to release information, how they're going to do that. And of course, when we get that, we'll certainly pass that on to you. But again, right now, it's just a matter of waiting for official confirmation on what happened exactly. Where is there a suspect? Do they have any information on the suspect? If they're asking people for any descriptions or anything like that, we're hoping to get some of that information soon, and when we get it, we'll certainly air it so that people will have the latest information that they can have for themselves.
Alex, we appreciate your hard work. I know the questions that you're posing are a lot of questions that our viewers have as well. And as Alex mentioned, there is going to be a press conference there at the UVU campus at 4 o'clock, and hopefully they can shed some light. But as we talked to former law enforcement earlier, this is going to be an investigation days, weeks ahead. So just a note, 4 p.m., which is going to happen here within the next 30 minutes or so. We should hopefully learn a little bit more, as that suspect is still at large.
Yeah, and in the circumstances of that, we're also seeing that there has been notes of a vigil tonight, 7 o'clock, for Charlie Kirk at the Utah State Capitol Rotunda. You know, hundreds, maybe thousands of people witnessed this. Many people just are shocked by this information and that it happened here in Utah. And so there is a chance here to go connect with people and to talk about it and to show your respects tonight at a vigil, 7 o'clock at the Capitol. Let's go to news specialist Jody Reynosa, who is on campus. Jody, what are you seeing from your vantage point?
So we've moved locations from the Wolverine Services, which is the testing center, and we're in between the Clark building and the Liberal Arts building. Right here is Fulton Library, and we are seeing that heavy police presence. In fact, we've had SWAT teams, guns in hand, just, trickling in and out of buildings. At one point, I saw in front of the Fulton Library about 20 SWAT members heading into the library. So it is all hands on deck for law enforcement. I did talk to a member of the SWAT team just briefly, and he said, our directive is basically to go through all of the buildings and make sure that either people are out or if they can't get out, they're sheltered in place. He said, we're seeing teams from Salt Lake, from Orem, from Provo, the SWAT, as I mentioned before. Now, unfortunately, it was a date gone wrong for a student that I'm next to, Nick Ekman. He was so excited to see Charlie, and he's so sad about this news. Tell us, what were you feeling? What were you seeing when all of this happened?
Yeah, honestly, the fact that it just happened all quickly, and when it just happened, everything just went crazy. People started running, screaming, shouting, yelling. People didn't know if it was them next. And honestly, for me, I was worried that, I came to see a guy, but this guy was a family man. He had kids. I loved what he was talking about and bringing up that dialogue. And so honestly, my whole purpose in being here and coming today was just to learn a little bit more. And the fact that it ended so quickly, so fast in that way, it scared me because I felt like, what's going on? Like, what does this mean? What does this mean for students like me? Like, we can't engage in dialogue or even come to a place where we can engage in dialogue. Absolutely did not expect it, wasn't prepared for it mentally and emotionally, even physically, still shaking. A lot of people were shaky. Seeing stuff happen that way was insane.
The interesting thing is you came specifically to see him. You are not even a UVU student, you're a BYU senior, and you came here for him. So the fact that all of this unfolded the way it is, or way it did, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, he decided to come to UVU, and I really didn't care. My friends really didn't care. We wanted just to come see him, so we were willing to make the travel plans. I had a buddy saving a seat for me too, and I was super excited. And to see it end just like that, in that horrific fashion, so early in it, was unbelievable and completely uncalled for. Nothing like that should ever happen.
So you were trying to find a parking spot to go in, excited to see Charlie, and then what happened?
People started running out the doors. They started fleeing. People were yelling, not only obscenities, but they were yelling run, 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 because they didn't know what was going on other than there was a bullet shot. And so I had people just running in front of me, running next to me, and I was super nervous. And I was like, I got to get out of here too.
So at the time you were on a date, and then you were coming over here trying to find parking. So that's like a date gone wrong, unfortunately.
Yes, yeah. I like I said, I was coming back from a lunch date, and I decided to come and running a little bit late. And as I was trying to find that parking spot, everybody just started running and mayhem caused. And my buddy had brought his little sister. And so that was one of the things I was concerned about is his little sister okay? Because I knew my buddy was okay, but I was worried that his sister wasn't okay. So I immediately was trying to call him, contact him, and make sure that his sister was okay.
Now, you've received an unofficial text, but with the echo chambers that, they're hearing all sorts of things. We're trying to sift things out still. Yeah. What was that text that you did get?
Yeah, so I actually just received a text from somebody that is claiming that Charlie Kirk's wife and maybe a kid or both of his kids were actually at the event today. I can't imagine a worse thing for a mother or a child to go through than to see a horrific tragedy like that happen.
What are your thoughts, though, going forward as far as Charlie Kirk and maybe following or even watching reruns? I mean, at this point, what is it?
This is a man who was an incredible father, an example to me on what it's like to be a father to kids and to be an incredible husband to a wife. He pushed that so hard, and for young men like me, all I wanted to be was just to be a great husband and to be a great potential father one day. He's gone now. That means his kids aren't going to be able to see a dad, and his wife is going to have to, live alone without a husband potentially. For me going forward, I want to see dialogue happen, but it cannot end like this. You can disagree with me, I can disagree with you, but I will never ever wish upon anyone their life to be ended with a bullet, any type of weapon in any way. You deserve to live, you have worth and value. I want to engage in dialogue with you, I want to understand you, but I will not disagree with you to the point where I don't believe you belong here on earth. Unfortunately for Charlie today, that's what happened.
Nick, thank you so much for your thoughts. I really appreciate it. Now, again, that was an unofficial text, but that is what Nick was hearing from a friend's text message. And along the same line of thought, a lot of people, a lot of students I've talked to say it's about respect. Even if you don't agree with somebody's political side that they're on, as far as different sides of the aisle or whatever the topic is, it's about respect and having that dialogue without violence. I'll send it back to you.
Jody Reynosa, we appreciate that insight and that report there from the UVU campus. And I did want to mention, Deanie, that we are hearing from Turning Point USA. Of course, Charlie Kirk was one of the co-founders there. A spokesperson saying Kirk was, quote, murdered by a gunshot at Utah Valley University. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers, and we ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity in this time.
We're also seeing statements come out, one from the Utah Commissioner of Higher Education. Of course, this happened on a college campus. So just, again, re-emphasizing that there's no place for violence on college campus and condemning that. We also saw a statement from the Utah Chiefs of Police talking about this outdoor event, that his death was confirmed and that they are united against violence in all forms. Free speech and respectful political discourse are vital to ensure the health and vitality of our democracy. And I'm sure we will see many of these kinds of statements come out today as people process and take inventory of all that's happened today.
And Daniel Woodruff, he's been kind of getting a sense of that as he's been talking to people there at UVU campus. And I know your focus right now, Daniel, is the heavy police presence there. You were kind of painting a picture of what you were seeing as far as police and tactical gear.
Yeah, we've seen police. In fact, a little bit earlier on our air live, you saw some officers escorting a group of women out of the building that's just to the south of where the shooting took place. The shooting happened right behind me here on the west side of the campus. And I went over and I talked to the women. They didn't want to speak on camera, but they told me that they had been sheltering in place for several hours. UVU had put out a phone number for people here on campus to call if they needed a police escort, and so police went and escorted them to their cars. This campus evacuation literally is still going on then, because the shooting, according to UVU, happened about 12:10. We're now about 3:30, and so people are still leaving campus, individuals who had been sheltering in place for the last couple of hours. As I spoke to the women, I asked them if they wanted to say anything. They didn't want to, again, speak on camera, but they just said it's incredibly sad. They wanted to get to their families and talk about that they are okay and they are safe, but they said their office overlooks the plaza where Charlie Kirk was shot, and as we now know, he died from those injuries. And they said it was a loud gunshot. They heard it very clearly, and the mayhem that ensued as people ran off of the campus after UVU told everyone to leave, and of course after people heard the shots. So we're continuing to look over from the west here to the area where the shooting happened. A lot of people's personal belongings are still there, and we see police officers right now walking around that area. I see at least one uniformed officer. I see another plain clothes. I don't know what agency they're from, but this is in pretty plain view of the west side of campus, and his speech today, his event where he took questions and answered them from the audience, was in plain sight. It was an outdoor event. We've actually heard from some students today who spoke with us earlier who said they were very critical of the fact that there was basically no security here, that anyone could walk in, anyone with a backpack, you didn't know what was inside. They wondered why there were no security checks of any kind prior to Charlie Kirk's event getting underway, and it didn't take very long through the event because he was only, as I understand, on his second question for the shooting to happen. The somber mood here on campus is notable. I know we have a lot of police presence, but we've seen people here not leave campus. I know UVU's been asking people to leave. There was a group over by the trees there a little bit ago. They've since left, and one of our photojournalists approached them after we learned that Charlie Kirk had passed away, and they were crying. They didn't want to speak with us about it, but this is a very somber mood here on campus as the gravity of what's happened is sinking in, that Charlie Kirk was shot in open air here on a public university, a state university campus, and ultimately died from his injuries. And we've talked with people today who were excited to hear from him, and they were here early, they got good seats, they were up front, and they saw him get shot, they tell me, in the neck, and just the mayhem and chaos that ensued after that. So as we are here on the west part of campus, other than that, it is fairly quiet. We see occasional law enforcement presence walking through. Again, we see occasional law enforcement presence in the area where the shooting actually happened, and a lot of law enforcement over to our south, where we've already had reports from Dan Rascone and Mike Hedrick. But that's kind of the mood here, and UVU again is asking people, if they're still on campus, give them a call. They'll have a police escort to get them off. Back to you.
All right, Daniel, yeah, you summed up some of the people that you've seen there crying and having some real emotional reactions. And that's a lot of the things that we are seeing here on social media and hearing people communicate is the shock, the sadness, even anger that this happened in Utah. And that this would happen on a campus, on a college campus, at a peaceful event that involved political dialogue. And for that and many other reasons, some people have organized a vigil on campus. I mean, not on campus, at the Capitol tonight. It's at 7 o'clock. It's a vigil for Charlie Kirk at the Utah State Capitol Rotunda. It's hosted by the Utah House of Representatives so that anyone can go and, again, have a chance to debrief.
Years old, and we now have 3,500 chapters of TPUSA all over the country on college campuses, on high school campuses. That was, a little over 10 years he accomplished that much. So absolutely, what would he have done with 20, 30 more years, 40 more years, 50 more years? So I think that is probably a lot where the anger comes from, that you go, there was so much that Charlie could have done, and yet we know that the Lord in his providence allowed him to do how much he did in that short time, that he enabled him and gifted him with these incredible talents that he had to be able to persuade people, to be able to inspire people, and to do that much inspiring in such a short period of time.
Yes, there is a sense, you only see the story.
And somebody debating, somebody who's well known for traveling across the country, doing these sorts of speeches and such. So a lot of people came here that aren't even students at Utah Valley just to hear some of that, whether they agree or not, just to be part of somebody who, well-known figure. And now for this to happen, there's a lot of shock. Students continue to leave buildings. We see a lot of police officers here escorting those students out. We also see a lot of ambulances here with the city of Orem just on standby for what may be needed. They don't know. But again, as I mentioned maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, this is something that first responders, law enforcement officers, firefighters, medics, this is something that they train for. So having a response like that is what they train for, as well as this. Mark, if you turn around and show just the number of police cars here that we're dealing with, unfortunately, we're good at this. You know what I mean? But it's also, thank goodness, that they do train for things like this, law enforcement officers, because when it happens for real, they are ready. There is a plan in place. There is a way to close the schools. There's a way to get students out of the classrooms. There's a way to screen students that are leaving the area. There's a way to deal with traffic. And that's what we're seeing here now off of University Parkway is a lot of traffic. Even though I think most students and administrators have left the area now and been able to leave campus, there are a lot of people coming here to University Parkway just to see this. And I've seen a lot of people in their cars just taking pictures of the scene here on University Parkway, going slow, going by, just because I think they're in shock too. They can't believe that this happened here in Utah on campus to somebody well known like Charlie Kirk. So at this point, yeah, there are a lot of questions. The answers will eventually come. We may not like the answers. We may not want to hear the answers, but they will come at some point. And I think that press conference here is in about 20 minutes or so, where we will start to get some of those answers and be able to ask some of those questions to administrators and people involved. Was there enough security? What was the plan if something was to go wrong? All those will be questions that will be asked, and we will hear the answer to those questions. But now, honestly, it's just a matter of worrying about Charlie Kirk's family, those who know him, those who loved him, and also the students who witnessed this. We interviewed quite a few students who heard the gunshots, hit the ground, started running, scared for their lives. They've all seen the videos. They've all seen the news stories in the past when somebody yells gun, mass shooting, active shooter on the loose. And it's always something we see on the screen, but to be involved with it, to be in the middle of it, a couple people told us they absolutely froze, even though yesterday they would have told you, I would immediately start running. But a lot of people froze. And I think that's completely normal with some people because you just can't believe it's happening. One person told us they thought it was a prank or a stunt or something that is part of the show. And then when realized that, no, this is indeed real, it really hits home. The adrenaline hits you, and a lot of people making it out. Now, the good news in all this is that we haven't heard of a lot of injuries with anybody else. From everything we've heard is that people told us they only heard one single shot. We haven't heard of any injuries as people were running away. But we may hear that. We may hear that maybe some people were injured during the mass fleeing of this general area. That will be a part of the press conference as well. But I think mainly the message right now is why? And that's I don't mean to be flippant about it, but how in Utah, it's just one of those things that we've seen far too many of these types of incidents. And what is the answer? I don't think anybody knows what the answer is at this point, but it's something that will continue to be talked about. And today, it's Utah's turn for us to talk about it, for us to make sense of it, for us to talk to the people who were involved in this and who saw this. And when those answers come, we'll see if something could be learned, if there's something different that could be happened. But, I got to be honest, something that we've heard from everybody else, from people on the right side, from people on the left side, is when can we all come together? And I think that's something that at some point, I think we'd all love to see that. It's just a matter of how do we get there. The response, as expected, is a big one, and it will continue to be a big one. I think just in the last few minutes, we noticed more police officers showing up. So as we continue to hang out here and get more information, we will pass it along to you, knowing that press conference here is in about 20 minutes. So let's send it back inside for now.
Yeah, Alex, you so well summed up the emotions and it's the disbelief. It's heartbreaking that this happened. Heartbreaking that it had to happen in Utah. It's beyond hard to express how so many people feel that way, that this happened in our state. I wanted to read out, we are expecting an update in just a few minutes. I wanted to read a statement from Lieutenant Cam Roden from the Utah Highway Patrol, who regarding whether a suspect has been arrested. He said nothing is confirmed right now. Hopefully we will get an update on that particular question, because that's really the thing that is still outstanding is, do they have someone in custody? Is there still a threat on campus? And the fact that they are still escorting people out and telling people not to leave until they have an escort, there does seem to be that issue of safety.
We also want to mention that President Trump had announced that flags will be flown at half staff in honor of the death of Charlie Kirk through September 14th. So we wanted to pass that along. We are checking back in with our news specialist that we have there on campus. Let's go back to Dan Rascon and find out a little bit more about where you're at and what are you seeing right now?
All right, Tamara. Well, we're inside one of the auditoriums here on campus where a press conference is scheduled to take place in just a little bit. We're saying we're being told right now it's supposed to be about 4 o'clock. You can see the media obviously setting up, getting ready for this press conference. But a lot of what we've been talking about here, as far as trying to get some answers, has this suspect actually been caught? What's the latest on this investigation? What went wrong here? Those kind of answers we're hoping to be able to get here shortly. It's going to be pretty much a who's who here in Utah, all the leaders. We're going to have the governor here is what I'm being told. We're going to have the FBI here. We're going to have the Department of Public Safety top brass here also. So there's going to be a lot of different people that are going to be here, the main players as far as knowing what's going on in this investigation. As we've been hearing all along, this is just devastating as to what happened here at UVU. Obviously, this is a campus that has been safe for the most part as far as any kind of activity like this or a shooting like this or anything that where they have political people come here all the time. And so this is not unusual to be able to have different events, different things taking place on this campus, and then to have something like this. Everybody is just in shock here. So again, we're hoping to be able to have this press conference here at 4 o'clock inside of this auditorium here, and hopefully be able to get some of those answers. But I'm being told from the FBI and also from the governor's office and also from the Department of Public Safety, all of those people are expected to be here. It's just a matter of trying to get some of those individuals here. You saw some of the traffic outside. You saw where Mike Hedrick is at and Alex Cabrera and some of the others there with all those police activities outside the campus here. It's a full house when it comes to police agencies and the number of officers here, the number of SWAT. We've been seeing, we showed you just a short time ago, we saw some of these SWAT members running, going in a different direction, racing down the street. We see them carrying all their gear as far as, their rifles and everything else like that. And so, there's a little bit of that. So we're hoping to be able to get some of those answers maybe as to what happened there or why were officers rushing to get to a certain location or why were they off to that or that location. But again, these officers combing the entire campus. We've been seeing that all along. We've been seeing officers and SWAT team members going basically from building to building, going inside, clearing them. Even for us to be able to get into this building, we had to go through security to be able to be here. And so they're very tight right now. All the doors are locked here on campus. Everybody, it's pretty much shut down for the most part. But again, a press conference expected to take place here in the next 20 minutes or so just behind me. And we'll, of course, bring that live to you as soon as we have that. And we're hoping to be able to find some of these answers. The scary thing out there, of course, on everybody's mind, if the shooter has still not been caught, where is he? Is he still on campus here, or is he off somewhere else? Did he take off, flee the scene? Could it be another location? And so there's still a lot of weariness here, and a lot of people just on edge in regards to, what happened, and then also what could happen if the shooter is still here on campus. We'll send it back to you guys, but again, we'll come live out here as soon as this press conference happens.
All right, Dan, we're glad you're in the spot where you'll get the information first. So we will be checking back in as soon as we need to, as soon as they get started. I wanted to read, we just had a statement issued by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They have issued a statement following the shooting of American political commentator Charlie Kirk. The statement reads in part that it is with great sadness that we learn of a shooting that took place at the Utah Valley University, resulting in the death of Charlie Kirk. Our prayers go out to his family at this time. We condemn violence and lawless behavior. We also pray that we may treat one another with greater kindness, compassion, and goodness. For members of the church, we reaffirm the Savior's teaching and admonition is to love our neighbor.
And again, we do want to stress that the White House has lowered its flags to half staff. That was just within the hour or so where President Trump has made that statement, also suggesting on Truth Social that all American flags throughout the country should be lowered at least through Sunday. Let's check back in with Daniel Woodruff, who is out there on the UVU campus. You've been talking a little bit about the activity that you've been seeing around you and talking to folks. What can you tell us right now?
Yeah, we've seen law enforcement here on the west side of campus because right behind me is where the shooting actually took place. We've also seen some law enforcement walking around in the area where spectators were sitting during Charlie Kirk's speech when he was shot at about 12:10 this afternoon. And it's been really, I think, compelling to hear from some of these people who were watching what they thought was an innocent political event, a safe event, in the middle of a beautiful September day here in Utah County, of all places, when all of a sudden shots rang out. We want to hear what some of those witnesses had to tell us just a little bit earlier.
I heard the gunshot. I was the last one standing because I couldn't quite believe. I thought maybe it was a stunt. And then everybody fell to the ground. We all fell to the ground. I got pushed into some bushes. I stayed there. There was a lady with her elderly mom, and I said, "Is she okay?"
Everybody kind of just didn't know what was going on at the moment. They were just sitting there, like, watching it. Like, oh, did he really? I'm like, yo, dude, he got shot, dude. Get out of here now, dude.
Those were some of the witnesses. It happened here at UVU, and then as they described it to me, they took off running. In fact, 3 people that I interviewed said that they ran through this fountain here behind me just to try to get to safety, because at that point, nobody knew what was going on. They thought it was a firecracker. Some people thought it was part of the show, and it turned out that it was anything but that, and Charlie Kirk was shot and later died from his injuries. I also wanted to make reference to the statement from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that was read a little bit earlier. As we've been reporting on, President Russell M. Nelson of the church turned 101 years old yesterday, and as part of that, he released an op-ed in Time magazine, and actually in that, he essentially called on his followers and others on the followers of Jesus Christ and others to turn down the temperature, online and such. And nobody, of course, comes to an event like this expecting that there will be a shooting. And I think it was obviously a shock to everybody, and people have echoed today what President Nelson has said, and that is that differences of opinion, of course, are inevitable, but we cannot allow it to become violent. We cannot allow ourselves to dehumanize each other. And that's been very difficult for people here, as I've talked to them today, to think about, that they came to an event on a public university campus and ended up running for their lives because they heard a shooting, they heard shots fired, and Charlie Kirk, the speaker, the main event, was shot and killed. So a lot to process today, but it's been interesting to talk to those who were there, and they've had to share with me just what they have to now go through The one woman, a UVU student, said she planned to go seek out a therapist and counseling because of how much she saw and what she's trying to process now. She said she'd been crying for a long time, and even an hour after the event when we talked to her, more than an hour, her heart was still racing. So a lot to unpack here at UVU campus today. Back to you.
We appreciate that, Daniel, for that update. And it's so hard to watch this video because, and you alluded to that as well, to see the fear and the reaction from the thousands of students that were there. The violence, the heartache. It's a flood of emotions as you see people scrambling here, and it's really hard to watch and know that happened in our backyard. That happened anywhere, but that it happened here in Utah. Let's go right now. Who have we got we got Jody standing by. Jody, what have you been seeing in your area? We're expecting an update in about 10 minutes, and there has been some police action on campus.
There absolutely has been, Deanie. They just keep flooding in more teams of SWAT. They keep going into each building. Right now, I am here just outside of the Fulton Library, in between the Clark Building and the Liberal Arts Building. Now, just to give you a reference point, the Liberal Arts Building, the venue where the shooting took place, it was just beyond the Liberal Arts Building. Now, one of the things that Daniel Woodruff said totally reminds me of the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. His message last conference 6 months ago was to be a peacemaker. And so I think everybody is just very shaken here on campus and throughout the world, knowing that this is the message that he disseminates to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It again was his 101st birthday yesterday, and we're coming up on another conference in October, and I'm sure that line of thought is going to continue. Now, I'm here with 3 young men. They came to see Charlie Kirk, and the turn for the worst happened. I'm going to start with Nick. Nick actually was there in a middle row. Nick, tell us a little bit about what happened. Tell us your last name first.
Nick Call.
Tell us exactly what happened, what you saw.
So, I was just watching him speak, and he was talking about gang violence, and then I just hear like a loud pop, and I'm looking at him, and it doesn't even look real. I'm only 18 years old. I've never experienced a lot of death in my life, but this is like the first time I've ever seen somebody die, and my heart was just racing. It was so scary, and I was just appalled. Like, everybody just flopped to the floor, and I just tried to do what everybody else was doing. It was really scary.
Oh, I can't even imagine how scary that would be. Did you drop to the ground as well? Were you waiting to see, is there going to be another shooting? I mean, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I instantly just dropped to the floor. I didn't know if he was a mass shooter, like he was there to shoot everybody there. But when I was on the floor, there were some group of people at the top. They cheered when he got shot, and I was just appalled. I couldn't believe the lack of human life that some people have.
The lack of empathy there. Oh, that's appalling. I agree. Now, when you saw what you saw, did you have a certain direction that you heard the shot come from, or did you think it was just one shooter?
Yeah, so I was facing towards him, and it looked like the shot came from my left, so his right, and it just went through his neck and out the other side. It was gruesome.
Now that we're still trying to parse through information and we know that the shooter is at large, what are your thoughts now?
I hope they catch this guy. Nobody deserves to die, no matter what your political beliefs are. And I just think that if you do something like this, you deserve to go to jail for life.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to move on now to Jack. We have 2 Jacks here, so I'm going to start with you, Jack. What's your last name?
Jack Stevenson.
And tell me, where were you? How did you hear about this? What are your thoughts now?
Yeah, so I was just kind of like on the middle left, farther away from Nick. But I just heard about it through social media, and I came to hear Charlie Kirk speak just because I thought it would be interesting and see what he had to say, and yeah, so that's why I came.
So now, in the aftermath, we're trying to piece things together. What are your thoughts now?
Just prayers for his family is honestly just what I've been thinking this whole time. Like Nick said, no one deserves to die, especially with a wife and 2 young kids at home and all of his extended family. I cannot even imagine what they're going through right now.
Thank you so much, Jack. All right, Jack, what's your last name?
Watkins.
Okay, you were there and you specifically came out to see Charlie, correct? Yeah. What were your thoughts at the time?
Well, so I was with Jack Stevenson here, and we were kind of just like, we should just go like for fun, just to see. We don't really care like about Charlie Kirk, but
describing what those answers are, but we can't just go on like
good. Like it was really fun, but just like it's just crazy that chaos just happened so quickly. And I mean, that's kind of all. I don't know.
Do you have second thoughts about going to something like this in the future?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, a little. Like it's pretty traumatizing, but I don't know. I mean, this doesn't really happen. Like he's gone to colleges all over the world, and it's just crazy that it happened at my college. You know what I mean? Like I just signed up to go here and just enrolled, and it's crazy to see that like the one thing that I go to, something has to happen, and it's just horrible. But I don't know.
Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts. So as we just heard, a traumatic experience for them and for, students here that they know. And the fact that this shooter is at large is very, very scary. So as we have information continue to unfold, we will let you know. I'll send it back to you.
It's so unsettling to hear from those college students. That gentleman,
I'm just 18 years old.
That student who had just signed up. Jody, thank you for that report.
Yeah. Okay, again, we are waiting for an update in about 5 minutes. In the meantime, we have some updated information. Let's check in with Sarah Martin, who is at the Timpanogos Hospital. Let's find out what information are you hearing there at the hospital, Sarah?
Right now, Timpanogos Regional Hospital, we don't have this completely confirmed, but we believe this is where Charlie Kirk was taken after he was shot at UVU. Heavy police presence here on the campus of Timpanogos Regional Hospital. The hospital in lockdown, according to security personnel. All appointments for the day were canceled after about 1 p.m. The hospital here turning away patrons unless it's an absolute emergency, unless they're arriving in an ambulance or in an emergency vehicle. Right now, we do have a small group of supporters of Charlie Kirk who have gathered on the corner of Timpanogos Regional Hospital to show their support and to show that they are, here and willing to support. And we have one supporter here who's willing to chat with us. This is Matthew. Matthew, thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Why are you here today? Why is this important to show up?
Charlie has done so much for our nation, for America, for the youth, for the faith in America. And today feels like a Rubicon has been crossed by the left, and it's time for us to stand up for what we believe in, like Charlie, to take our liberty back, and to really be the America that we're supposed to be. We're here to give support to Charlie and his family, and all of his supporters and his staff, and those that were here today, and those that have taken care of him.
You've been here, it's pretty warm out here. You've been here in the sunshine for about an hour that we've been with you, and we've seen a huge number of cars drive by, and some very vocal. Has that been a positive experience for you so far? What have you seen?
Mostly positive. There's been some negative. Woman was filming us, and she yelled out something derogatory to Charlie Kirk, which is disgusting, and we're seeing more of that from the left. What we don't see enough of is from the left is condemnation for what's going on. Just like this young girl in North Carolina that no one reported on for days. We're tired of it, and we're here to support America and stand up for what we believe in.
Matthew Berry, here to show your support for Charlie Kirk. We're so sorry for the loss today. Any other final words?
God bless America. God bless Charlie Kirk.
We've seen firsthand a significant number of people shouting out in support and also against Charlie Kirk today. Lots of political division on the street corner here in front of the hospital where we believe he was treated and now confirmed that he has died. Reporting live from Timpanogos Regional Hospital, I'm Sarah Martin, KSL 5.
Sarah, thank you. And as you showed, people are wanting to show their support for Charlie Kirk for his family and wanting to condemn violence on behalf of Utahns. There will be a chance to do that coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. The House of Representatives is hosting a vigil for Charlie Kirk and for the events that happened today, 7 o'clock at the Capitol Rotunda.
And we are showing you a live look now on the campus of Utah Valley University, where they are lowering the American flag. As we had mentioned, President Trump had lowered the flag at the White House and has called on all states to do so through Sunday in honor of Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who was shot dead at the campus of Utah Valley University, 31 years old, a political activist, a husband, a father. So many outpouring of support has been coming in. Governor Spencer Koch earlier said on X that he is being briefed on the situation, posting in part, quote, "Those responsible will be held fully accountable. Violence has no place in our public life. Americans of every political persuasion must unite in condemning this act. Our prayers are with Charlie, his family, and all those affected." Daniel Woodruff has been there on campus for the last couple hours or so, talking to folks out there, getting a sense of what the campus has endured. Although the campus is closed, he has been seeing a lot of police activity. So let's go ahead and check back in with Daniel now. Daniel?
Yeah, Tamara. So here on the west side of campus, it is very quiet. Really, the people that are left are media and law enforcement. And we know that law enforcement has a major presence here on the campus of Utah Valley University as they have evacuated the campus, told people to go home. Law enforcement has been escorting people out. We saw that a little bit ago. Anyone who was sheltering in place here in buildings or whatnot after the shooting of Charlie Kirk. We've seen on social media so many condemnations of political violence. We've seen it for...
Hard to tell.
Oh, sorry. We came out of that live shot a little bit early. We do have a new statement coming up here from the Turning Point. That is the organization from Charlie Kirk, and it says, "With heavy heart that we confirm the death of Charlie James Kirk. He was murdered by a gunshot that took place during Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour campus event at Utah Valley University. May he be received into the merciful arms of our loving Savior who suffered and died for Charlie. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers." And again, a vigil coming up to do that at 7 o'clock tonight. We want to reiterate, some people are talking and speculating about what may...
I think what has just transpired is tremendously disturbing. It is the latest evolution and instance of political violence in the United States, and it must end.
Congresswoman, what message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment? What message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment and the rhetoric that has been put out in the media?
Beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action. And we need to talk about, yes, there are words, but most importantly, we are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people are looking to us to do something about this. And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America, and every single day there are people in this building that continue to vote against doing anything. They vote against universal background checks. They continue to support legislation and also remove any way to block the mentally ill, to block extremists, to block people with histories and records of domestic violence from getting guns in their hands. So are we going to do something about this or not? We have a political assassination that happened at the same time as a school shooting where children are dying on the same day, a week after a shooting at a Catholic school where children were gunned down while praying. Are we going to do something, or are we going to argue over rhetoric? That is my question about this. We have to pass gun safety legislation and stop this.
What one congresswoman was saying that was yelling Republicans is you Democrats.
I mean, People can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we are doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening. We have to stop this. We can stop this. And why don't we start by acknowledging that basic common sense gun safety legislation is not taking away a gun, is not attacking the Second Amendment, but it is about ensuring the safety of our children, of women, of people across this country, to ensure that guns and firearms do not get in the hands of people who are going to use them against human beings, period. Domestic violence is one of the highest indicators of whether a person is going to kill someone else with a gun or not. There are so many other indicators, and I think it is so deeply important that when a politician tries to blame words for inaction, they need to look at their action and their record. Enough of this. This is horrific. This is awful. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America. We cannot risk. Thank you.
Are you worried about holding events in public?
I think that, of course, it's a natural consequence to see this and to be worried about this. And I think, but what is most important is the fact that we've gotten to this place, and we need to figure out what we can do to ensure that every American can feel safe going to a public event. Thank you. Sorry.
The fact that we asked for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk, and then the Democrats decided at that point in time to try to shout that down. First and foremost, Charlie Kirk is now pronounced deceased. He was murdered. I don't know anything about the suspect yet. I think everyone's waiting to hear that, but that type of rhetoric is the exact type of rhetoric that got him killed. So to be clear, we should have been allowed to pray for Charlie. I would encourage the speaker to go back tomorrow and let us pray on the floor for Charlie Kirk's family now and the rest of the people that have been impacted by this terrible loss.
You said they caused this. You said
most certainly, yes, they did cause this. That type of rhetoric, you calling people fascists, you basically saying that we're Nazis, taking away people's rights. Charlie Kirk was literally murdered, and you can see that footage online. And I would encourage people, instead of sharing that, please share pictures of his family and the legacy that he left.
Congresswoman, when he recruited you to politics, can you talk a little bit about your early experience with Mr. Kirk?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to medical school, and he convinced me that politics would be a better option. So we'll help continue that fight and for the movement. Thank you.
That was Congresswoman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's something that a lot of us were talking about on the House floor. I've got some of the most death threats in Congress, but today really isn't about me. And I think I just keeping my focus on Charlie's wife and his two young children, and of course his family and the whole Turning Point USA family. And it's the worst thing, shocking, and everyone's really devastated. My children are devastated. Just everyone I know. It's there really aren't words.
Can you speak to his importance to the conservative movement, to your own political rise?
I really think what was great about Charlie Kirk, and I was just telling Tia this, is he would go on college campuses and tell young people to get married and have children, and just talk about how wonderful it is to be married and have children. He shared the Word of God. He was a Christian, and he shared the gospel of Jesus Christ, and he encouraged young people. And he also would have debates on ideas on college campuses, which, I mean, that's our First Amendment, and college campuses have always been a place for that. And I believe today he was killed for the words that he says and the things that he stood for. And we're honestly shocked. We're devastated, shocked, and angry. And those are just natural feelings.
How close were you to him?
Charlie Kirk is a friend. He was a good friend. I spoke at many of his events over the years. Knew him when he was a lot younger. And, I mean, he's not much older than my oldest daughter. But I just think it's really, honestly, horrific.
What kind of legacy does he leave behind?
Charlie Kirk leaves a huge legacy. It's going to be hard for anybody to fill his shoes. He was extremely important. Students all over the country would get very excited if they found out he was coming to their college campus. He brought in thousands of people to hear him speak. Even people that didn't agree with him would come, ask questions, even argue with him. He was always about the debate, and Charlie Kirk was never for violence. And to see him murdered in such a graphic way in front of the camera, and that video is too gruesome. Honestly, I hope it gets taken down. I don't think his wife or children one day should ever see it. I really hope it gets taken down. But I'm at a loss for words, and I'm not often at a loss for words.
How concerned are you about your own safety in the wake of this attack? And he's a giant on the right. You were a giant on the right.
Yeah, T had asked me that too. Of course, I am very concerned.
Hey Rick. Something dropped here. This guy, I'm not sure. Oh, okay. I think I might have rained it over. Sorry if that's something important.
Well, look, I think it continues to force us to think very deeply about what we can do in the moment to try to stop this. And it is just literally gut-wrenching to think about this. And it shouldn't matter what your political views are. You should be able to state in America whatever you feel. But, continuing to try to think how we protect. But it's not just members now. This is somebody who's engaged in public discourse, but he's not an elected official. So while my primary responsibility is for members and staff, it is a much bigger question about violence in society today and what all of us can do. What we should all own the fact that sometimes rhetoric leads people who are unstable to think that they can somehow help solve the problem or address it. And it's just awful, and we need all to speak with a single voice about how completely unacceptable it is to have political violence in America.
A couple of Republicans just came down these steps and said that it's Democrats' fault that it has happened. Your response to that?
I think on a day when this young man has lost his life and his family is grieving, to be talking about the politics of this is just so inappropriate. And look, at the left and right, if that's what we're going to do is just point fingers based on ideology, when a tragedy like this happens, I think we have lost our way as Americans, as civil society. I think it has no place today in any of the conversation.
Appreciate it, Congressman.
All of that is really just so that is a little bit of what we expect to be hearing. I worry that they're going to take some questions, although from my vantage point today, this is the first we've heard sort of official word. So that sometimes conflicts with what witnesses have said, witnesses have told us, and we've heard those stories over and over again. The question we have, even before
Luna we got twice.
one witness, the shot rang out, some saw the blood, actually on his right hand, and then saw Charlie Kirk somebody at that point. Most people did not go to help. There were some who did, at least according to witness statements. Others tried to beat it out of that quad as quickly as possible in the outdoor space where this event was taking place. And so that's
Have a connection, I don't know, but it makes you wonder what they were doing out in the parking lot with their phones, seeming to document the remaining cars here, is what it looked like just from a lay perspective standing here. So obviously we've seen a lot of movement still. It's, I would say, very much an evolving situation. The last time you came to me, SWAT was basically rushing to somewhere. We tried to figure out where that was. We weren't able to figure out exactly where they went, but there was definitely some urgency in where they were going.
What's going on, and the gun violence is out of control, and you know, my heart goes out to Charlie Kirk's family. What a nightmare this whole thing is, and we saw it recently in Minnesota with elected officials being targeted, and you know, it's just out of control across the country, and so.
Is this, so you would say this is a gun violence issue, not a political rhetoric issue?
What is a gun violence issue?
The political assassination that we saw in Minnesota, the political assassination that we saw today in Utah with Charlie Kirk?
Well, you know, there were also young people who were shot today in Colorado. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there were high school students who were injured by gun violence. So we have a major problem with gun violence in the country. America's in a class by itself in terms of the modern industrialized world. But we have rates of gun violence that are 10 or 20 times higher than Canada, the European Union, Mexico, or, you know, what have you. So that's something concrete that we can do to try to turn this nightmare around. Obviously, I don't want people engaged in political violence of any kind, whether it's with guns or knives or fists. The whole point of having a social contract is that we resolve our conflicts non-violently through the political process.
Some Republican members of Congress have blamed Democrats at this point and the rhetoric from the left as a result for this shooting. I mean, do you think that rings true at all?
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Well, first of all, I haven't seen any reports about who, you know, who the shooter was or who the killer was. And I think it doesn't help a very difficult situation for people to be blaming violence like this on political parties or political factions. You know, I certainly resisted that when I heard people doing that after the Minnesota killings or after Paul Pelosi was attacked, and you know, there's no reason for us to get into that. The violence against political leaders is unacceptable in a free democratic society, and it is a threat to democracy. So we all have to denounce it, we all have to reject it, and we should all resist the temptation just to point fingers. That takes us nowhere. We should be rejecting gun violence and political violence in all of their forms, regardless of who the target is.
As far as the political rhetoric goes, though, do you believe that lawmakers on both sides need to tone this down?
Sure, I definitely believe lawmakers need to tone it down, and you know, we should do our best to try to make friends with people on the other side of the aisle. I mean, we're all Americans, right? So I just don't accept the idea that to belong to a different political party means that you're in some kind of enemy camp, and we all have to reject that and struggle against it.
How do you struggle and reject that? I mean, it seems like so much of this comes from a cultural animus that's almost bottom up in a sense. Can you really display a top-down sense of an example to follow that you think would be effective?
Well, I think no, but we can display bottom up forms of friendship and relationship, and I hope we all can do it. I mean, obviously in the House of Representatives we got 435 people. You can't make close friends with everybody, but everybody can try to make friends with some people who are outside of their immediate, you know, state or political group. You know, I certainly try and do that, and I hope we all will try and do that. But it's a very dark time with the political violence spiraling out of control, and gun violence a threat to everybody in the country.
You and other members of the former January 6th committee had stepped up security in the days after that committee. Are you worried for your own safety and the safety of your colleagues?
I mean, I'm worried for the country that we're in this state. We've got to step away from violence as a way of people expressing political differences or even, passionate feelings about things. We can model for our kids that we know how to use words, we know how to use language, we know how to have conversations. But the idea that people use violence as an instrument of their emotion is just intolerable. The whole reason we have a social contract is to make ourselves safer. And that means that we resolve conflicts within American society nonviolently. And that's something that every political leader and public official today should be speaking up for. And we should be modeling as much as possible civil dialogue, even when we have very strong disagreements about stuff. We've got to model civil disagreement. And then, I feel very strongly about gun violence and the unique situation the United States of America is in. And I've been very willing to talk to colleagues across the political spectrum and across the aisle about why I think we need to act. We have more than 90% of American people who support a universal violent criminal background check on all gun purchases. Commanding majorities support bans on assault weapons, so we don't, see.
We should have about 2 minutes before they finish that, and it'll be about a 5-minute walk over here. So about 7 minutes out.
Some people say it's impolite or impolitic to talk about policy solutions on a day when people are shot. Unfortunately, people are shot every single day
our briefing
in the
on
United States of
the
America.
UVU incident here shortly.
So how are we ever going to get out of this
nightmare
if we don't have an honest account of what's taking place?
Involved in this to work their way over to our briefing location.
Thank you, sir.
No, you're fine.
Shaking on your hair. I'm so sorry.
Something stopped. You're fine.
At the same time, it seems to be that there's an active effort going through, sweeping buildings. We've seen lots of people in SWAT uniforms going, as we understood, they were going room to room and even potentially leaving campus a little bit earlier. We saw SWAT vehicles, something that I'm not sure if it was a Bearcat. I think that's what sometimes those armored vehicles are called, but it left at an accelerated pace, and then we saw some SWAT officers get into a black unmarked Jeep, also literally sped off. And so it makes you wonder what they were going to investigate at that time. But again, an investigation, at least to the lay eyes, leaves more questions than answers. But of course, they're doing what they can to get those very important answers right now.
Well, Andrew, what you've had to report today, a gesture of a bottle of water. Hang on to that. That's the positive thing and the thing you want to keep in mind on a day like today. Thank you.
All right, we want to check back in with Dan Ruscon, who.
Well, the killing of Charlie Kirk. I mean, it was obviously shocking the way that happened. As I said earlier, the absurdity that this is a guy that you can disagree with him. I obviously agree with him on most things. This is a guy that was trying to open up dialogue and engage in civil discourse across college campuses, and it was part of his appeal, even those that disagreed with him, right? Just engaging in an open debate. And it was extremely popular. And, this is going to be one of those things that, changes some things. I haven't quite yet figured out how or what, but, it's, this one hits. I'm just thinking about most recent conversations with Charlie about different issues, different things. And my son, I was texting with him, and he was a big fan. And he was asking about it, and I told him, I said, stay off. He's not on social media, he can't ask it, but if somebody sends him a video or something, I said, just don't click on all that stuff. And, he asked what his status was, and I told him he had passed away. And he goes, oh man, is that public news? And I said, it's official. He's gone, and I'm sorry. And he said, I'd like to have met him. And then sent a Bible verse about staying the course. And I was really proud of him. But this is gonna, this is gonna change things. I just kind of got to figure out exactly how. But we're going to stay the course and keep doing what we believe. But a country that's turning its back on our collective faith as a nation, this is why we're seeing a breakdown in our ability to band together. We've got to do something about that.
How do you turn down the rhetoric, turn down the threat of political violence?
Well, I mean, we should be able to speak freely and speak with passion and regard about what we believe without it coming to that. That's the thing. But even just the stuff that wasn't political violence here, like Charlie, but what Charlie was even talking about as recently as yesterday or probably today, I haven't heard what he said today,
just giving about
at
2
Utah or
minutes,
anywhere else, but
2 minutes.
You know, about what happened to that young Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte. It's insanity, right? With the sickness of people on the street, whether it's people that are violent like that man in North Carolina who was should have been in jail, or whether it's just people that are sick from their political hatred. You got to be able to get that. Our founding fathers, I mean, obviously went through a civil war. Our founding fathers were often at each other's throats. Adams and Jefferson famously hating each other and then kind of coming to respect each other. Like you either are bound together by something or you're not. And I think we should be bound together by the much greater purpose for this nation. And, that's what I'm going to stand with, and that's how I'm going to move forward with all this. We're here for something bigger and greater than all of ourselves. Charlie lived it, tweeted out 3 days ago about his faith in his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, so I know where he is. And just God bless his wife and his 2 young children.
What does it say that on the floor? I mean, you guys couldn't even get through kind of the prayer without it being a shouting match between folks on there.
Look, there's people on the floor that are very close to me.
Just describe to me sort of what you saw. There's certainly this has an emotional impact. If we can have you get ready for the press conference, we're also just have reporter mode, and you have to sort of cover this. Right. If we can have you get ready for the press conference,
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. At this press conference, we will first hear from Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bill Mason.
I don't have to say past tense right now. It's just
FBI.
Charlie was a
Robert Bowles,
incredible deep thinker, grounded in philosophy. I remember a couple months ago
Vice
was over
President Val Peterson,
Oxford debates or whatever it was.
We'll hear from
Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. Today at approximately 12:20 Mountain Standard Time, political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot at an event at the Utah Valley University. He was taken by private vehicle to Timpanogos Hospital, where he later passed. The Utah Department of Public Safety will be co-leading this criminal investigation to find this killer, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We are working in unison with the County Sheriff's Office, the local police department, and the University Police Department, all of which have been very cooperative and fully engaged in this process. Shortly after the shooting, we did have a suspect in custody, George Zinn, but he was released from custody after we identified that he did not match the shooting suspect and was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked into the county jail by Utah Valley University Police Department for obstruction of justice. We do still have an active investigation for the person of interest. This incident occurred with a large crowd around. There was one shot fired and one victim. While the suspect is at large, we believe this was a targeted attack towards one individual. This is a tragic moment in our state and in our country. As we heal, we encourage everyone who is struggling with news of the incident to call 988, our state mental health crisis line. In addition to that, our partners with the FBI will also be discussing other ways we can communicate through the public for tips and other information. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the FBI, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Charlie Kirk. Our thoughts are also with the people who witnessed this traumatic event. We know that what you experienced was very difficult. Our thoughts are with you as well. As soon as we heard about the shooting, special agents and personnel from the Salt Lake Field Office responded immediately. We have full resources devoted to this investigation, including tactical, operational, investigative, and intelligence. To be clear, the FBI will fully support and co-lead this investigation alongside with our partners. We are working on setting up a digital media tip line, and as soon as it's established, we'll get that information out to everyone. I know there's a lot of questions. This is very much an active case, and this investigation is in its early stages. We are following all the leads and all the evidence. If anyone has any information, please report it to the FBI or local law enforcement. Thank you.
On behalf of President Tumenez, who we've been communicating with, and she's on her way back right now, I say that on behalf of Utah Valley University, we are shocked and saddened by the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk. We express our sincere condolences to the Kirk family. We grieve with our students, faculty, and staff who bore witness to this unspeakable tragedy. He was invited by the student group Turning Point USA to speak on our campus. We firmly believe that UVU is a place to share ideas and to debate openly and respectfully. Any attempt to infringe on those rights has no place here. We do not condone any form of violence at UVU and seek to make our campus a safe place for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this dark and tragic occasion. I want to thank our law enforcement officers who are leading this investigation, starting with Chief Long and his response here with the UVU Police Department. We're grateful for your leadership and your team. And again, to the speakers that you've just heard from who are co-leading this investigation. I also want to recognize Sheriff Mike Smith, who has been an invaluable partner as this investigation moves forward. I've been in touch with President Trump, with FBI Director Kash Patel. We are completely aligned with our state and federal partners as we work through this case. Now, this is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And today, a life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to two young children. He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated. And that's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates. That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody. The investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now, to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah. Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans. With that, we're happy to take a few questions.
The FBI director is posting that a suspect is in custody. I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. That is correct.
Is there any
still
indication
searching
of foreign
or
involvement?
looking for another shooter or anybody else related to this?
Yes, we are actively looking for anyone and everyone who has any possible information relating to this shooting.
Can you tell us details about the suspect being taken into custody? Where? How long ago?
We cannot at this point, but we will get you that information when we can.
Is there believed to be a second individual involved in the shooting?
At this point, there is no information that would lead us to believe that there is a second person involved.
Can you guys talk about the possible shooting?
Do you want to talk about what we know there? Yeah.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have a much better description other than that.
Where do you believe the shot came from?
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at a fair, potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
So to clarify, with the security camera footage you have and the person of interest that's in custody, does that match up?
That's what we're trying to decipher right now.
So did FBI or DHS have anything on the threat board this morning?
I can't speak.
I'll just say that the investigation's ongoing, and as soon as we have further information, we will be sure to release it.
Any indications of foreign intelligence involvement?
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the security of the event itself? Who was there security-wise and what happens on these kind of events?
Chief Long.
So my name is Jeff Long. I'm the police chief here at UVU, and I'll tell you right now, we are devastated. We're a small police department. We have a very large campus. We have over 40,000 students, and we love our students. We love our visitors, and we're devastated by what happened today. This is the police chief's nightmare. I'm very saddened for the Kirk family. I know his wife and parents found out about this. You know, obviously he's away from home. He's here in Utah. They find out by a police officer that visits their home. That's tragic. Nobody wants that. But I can tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This was outside. We did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area, and so he was kind of in a lower area, surrounded by buildings. You know, we had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. You know, we train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and you know, these things, you know, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And because of that, we had this tragic incident. So we did have officers there. We had Charlie Kirk's team. He has a security team that travels with him, and they were here with him when he was shot.
Was the gun recovered?
I'm sorry, see?
Was the weapon recovered?
At this point, I can't disclose that.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, there was a question being asked about mass shooting. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
Say the question again. I don't know if I understand what you're saying.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, he was answering a question about mass shootings specifically. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
I do not. We do not have that at this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for just one more question, so thank you.
Yeah, a question for the chief as well. Was it your team or Kirk's team or a combination of both that kind of set the security protocol for the event?
So we work together. You know, he has his team, and they do this all over the country. We all know that. This is not uncommon for them. They're very comfortable on campuses, and I was coordinating with his lead security guy, and so yeah, we were working together.
Was this a sharpshooter type shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions that will be answered today. Again, thank you for covering this. We will be updating you as soon as we have additional information through normal channels, working with law enforcement. Again, our deepest condolences to the Kirk family and to the students who were there today. I would just ask everyone everywhere to please pray for their family and to pray for our country. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.
To our media partners, we will be sending a release out with updates through one channel of information, whether it's DPS or FBI. So please make sure that you fill out the Google form with updates specific to this incident. Thank you.
Thanks for all your help, man. Yep. This is ours.
Watch your step.
Some very strong words coming from Governor Cox here in regards to what happened here. Obviously a real tragedy. He is calling this, as you mentioned, a political assassination. Somebody that came after Charlie Kirk and wanted to take him out. And so we believe right now from what's been happening as far as what they were able to tell us, they do have a person of interest in custody. They also have another person that they're looking at, but they're not saying whether or not the two are related in the incident. So again, one person in custody here. Is that the actual shooter? We don't know, but they did say he is a person of interest. And as far as them looking for others, they say they are still canvassing the area. They're still canvassing the campus to try and see if anybody else has any other information. Now, we had mentioned a little bit earlier that we're starting to see cell phone video coming in.
Yeah, that's right. We certainly did get at least confirmation of what was happening there when I did ask the governor and the Department of Public Safety Commissioner, the FBI, just asking them that the FBI director is posting on social media that they do have someone in custody. Do you or do you not? We did get confirmation there that a person of interest is now in custody. This is not the man that you heard the name George Zinn. I should point out, I've seen him around Capitol Hill. He is what you could describe as a local gadfly. He shows up at a lot of different events, political events and things like that. And so he was someone that we had seen in various videos posted to social media, that's videos that had been shared with me, what eyewitnesses had told me that they saw him being taken into custody. But as you heard the governor and others say, he is not. He has, however, been booked into jail on suspicion of obstruction of justice, but authorities wanted to make it very clear that he is not the person that they have taken into custody as a